Peace, 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 everybody. How y'all doing? We in the middle. If you guys want to go check more of it out, um, oh, sorry. If you guys want to go check more of it out, y'all can go over there to Black Lotus channel. You know what I'm saying? Black Lotus been streaming for about almost an hour now. I'm just getting in late. If this information is not for you, just just please just disregard it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to comment. You can go on your way. Shout out to everybody in the, what I'm saying, everybody in the neighborhood. I got a lot going on. I'm trying to get this live, and they're talking about a lot of stuff, and I'm kind of late in and out. You can check more of it on Black Lotus channel. Um, once once we get about 30, 40 people watching, they usually cut our stream off. But shout out to Reginald Green first in the builder, Dante Parker, Letty Healing Hand Holiday, Eugene Page, is it Novadu, Von Indigenous. Shout out to everybody. We're we're about to go in. If this information is not for you, just please just disregard. Don't watch it. It's not for everybody. It's just some intellectual stuff me and Black Lotus is getting into, and we're about to get in these.
The fact that, okay, if you take that
Hello.
position, then you're going to have to explain why the first civilizations were actually in the equatorial zone and not in the Arctic region.
Okay. Okay. Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
Okay.
we
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
did. I did get a little bit of that. We are running live now. No, we are running live now on our channel, and so I just want to explain to them what you was talking about a little bit. If you guys want to go check it out on Black Lotus channel, y'all can get the gist of what they were saying. We just kind of cut in the middle, but 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 basically, the test you was talking about is pretty cultural based, and so it's all about different cultures because when you look at some of the when you look at the concept of what they're saying is that more evolved or mutated people tend to be more smarter. You would tend to see that most of the European countries where there's dominant Europeans, those are usually the most struggling European countries out of all the European countries. The most powerful European countries are the ones that's mixed, like America, and the ones that have high population of different types of ethnics is usually some of the most superior ones. If you notice, but then when you go to the so-called like the Asian cultures, they say the Asians have a high a more high intelligence. And so I don't know if they talking intelligence far as in their culture or far as in personality. Because intelligence can be played out into a lot of different types of factors. So if you're looking on a money-based cultural factor and you're looking on basic well, the stride to be more, or the stride to have this and the stride to have that, that's more like a motivational thing. It's not an intelligence thing. An intelligence thing is more more plays along the line, or can you survive? You know what I'm saying? Can you survive in different environments? Can you survive? That usually kind of depends, sometimes on your intelligence. But when you want, what I'm saying, to be able to go and conquer and manipulate, that's this is kind of a culture thing. But there is some points and there is some speculation. What I'm saying, when you check that theory out. But the first, like I said, the first thing that stand out is that the most countries with the majority Europeans in it, they're usually the most out of the European countries. They're usually the most struggling. So when you get countries like Germany, Germany have a high. Germany is a powerful country. America is a powerful country. We're very diverse here in America. We don't do too good on the IQ test, but as you can see around the world, we are one of the most powerful. And then you can also see that we are one of the most diverse. So when you have countries like, let's just say, little Scandinavian countries or Holland or something like that, when you have less population of immigrants or whatever you want to call them, you notice they do less. You know what I'm saying? Now, far as the actual IQ ranking, I don't really know what Holland's IQ ranking is, but I know I'm not going to be getting no TVs from there. I know I'm not going to be getting no iPhones from there. I'm not going to be getting no cars from there. I'm not going to be getting anything from Holland because they just a nothing when it comes to the whole entire globe. And if it's dominant European, according to that theory, they should be the most powerful countries in the world because they have the most powerful minds in it. But that's not the case. So
Hmm.
it's kind of backwards, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. Well, usually the like the physical achievements is just generally correlated with intelligence, right? But of course, recent historical um, forces are obviously going to play a role in the economic well-being of a country or whatnot. The I think the argument for people that would agree on the validity of IQ tests is in the fact of information processing and memory
Yes.
recall speed. So, for example, because this is a common argument. This is not a new argument. The argument against the validity of IQ tests is that they're culturally biased, right? That they're biased against they're biased for in benefit to Western and a Western education system, right? That's what one of
Absolutely.
the arguments. That's what one of the arguments against IQ is, but that the people that say that um, they will have to answer to the fact that the IQ test can actually be designed according to the standards
I was
of.
just about to get into that. Let me read the portions of, because I've taken several IQ tests. A lot of it has to do with puzzles. There's a portion that is like spatial genius. Like they'll put a puzzle in a shape, right? And then they'll take the puzzle apart and they'll time you, or they'll tell you, okay, now put that shape back together and see how well you are able to put the puzzle back together or fit these shapes
Yeah, they have
within a
different
square.
categories. So they have visual perception, abstract reasoning, pattern, your ability for pattern recognition, spatial orientation, and analytical thinking. Those are the general, the broad categories that they test you for. Now, the specific questions or puzzles that they would have you solving for, those can be designed according to the standards of the any given nation that would be administering them. So if you're from Somalia or you're from Peru or you're from Bangladesh or wherever you may be, your professors, your educators, they can design the IQ test according to to their standards, to the designs of that culture. At the end of the day, that's just a proxy. What they're really looking for is how fast you can answer and how good is your visual perception and pattern recognition and so on and so forth. And that's where it is found that so there's a different score for each of these things, and then they average out the score into one which is called the G factor. So that's like the general intelligence, and that's where they start comparing and contrasting different people to other people and different countries to other countries, or the more controversial one, which I definitely don't agree with. I don't agree with the quote unquote racial classification or racial comparison of IQ, because at that point that's too broad of a stroke. You know what I'm saying? It's too broad. Like you're listing all these European countries under one race, and you know what I'm saying, and all these people of color under another race, and so on and so forth. It's too broad of a stroke. But I do agree with just general population comparisons, like to say the pygmies from the Khoisan or from the Yoruba, or or Germany to the UK, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something like that, that's fair enough.
As
But
far as these nations and being powerful in the modern era, a lot of that has to do with which of these nations um, played a role in colonialism
Hmm.
and slavery. The UK, the United States, France,
Spain.
Spain, that the top dogs of
Shit,
Europe,
Italy. Y'all leaving out Italy. They kicked it off.
Italy, the but to a lesser degree with Italy, those UK, United States, France, Spain are some of the top dogs, and they had most of the direct um, connection to colonialism, slavery. They got ahead of the rest of the nations by free labor and by murder, rape, kill. You know, so
You do know
Well,
those weren't white folks too, by the way.
well, well.
Y'all do know the colonizers were people who were at a darker
Right.
complexion.
So there wasn't right.
It
So the
wasn't white
myth.
folks doing that.
Right. So the myth that all white people did that, they had brothers and sisters doing that too. You guys, that was not. That's a myth that says
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all white people did
they
this and all. That's some black power activist type of stuff. But the thing is that see me, y'all know I'm a numbers guy. Y'all talking to a cyborg. And so when you go to a country and you do a test, how many people do you have to test to say that this is valid for this country? You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if I go to New York and I test 30 people and I say, man, is I'm allowed to say New Yorkers are dumb based on these 30 people? So it's
what
just it's just all the way around kind of the different tactics and techniques. But the best thing when you understand intelligence is survival. Survival is probably one of the most big things that describe intelligence. Out of any little puzzle, out of any little thing, because if you wake me up in the morning and you give me a test, I'm gonna probably be better at that test at a certain amount of time in my life. Uh, than order waking me up. If I got to get off my job and you give me a test, okay, then I might would have performed the test better
that that
with what I'm saying with what I'm saying depending on my mood and things like that. So it's very hard to try to because we're looking at some very difficult odds of what I'm saying of possibilities when you try to test a certain group of people at a certain group
right,
of time in a certain environment and say, okay, these group of people speaks for this whole continent or this whole race of
right,
people. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of that's kind of a little over the place. But does
right.
it
That
have some significance and does it have some little elevations to it? It might, but it just don't hold no mathematical weight.
right, and that's what the topic was even brought up for because we were talking about the data versus the interpretation of the data. Now, the data is what it is. Certain people, certain demographics cluster in their scores. They score similarly. The interpretation of why that is, how we get to that point, that is up for debate, experimentation, analysis. But the data itself is what it is.
Right,
Right.
right. So, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. I talked to GMO for a couple times, and he said something that stuck with me a little bit. He told me that we was offending them, because they feel like the Aboriginal people is infringing on what he called their culture, and so I would and so this is why we kind of stick by Naia, and we want to bring Naia up because you believe that Naia belongs to you, and so
Well,
we're
let
we
me just
but hold on, let
clarify
me let
that.
me finish, let me finish. And so and what we're kind of telling you is no, Naia do not, and so Naia is the ground that we stand on. And so most of the people from those type of interpretations, they usually go with this outer Africa theory and all this type of stuff, and that's the ground that you guys stand on. And instead of, what I'm saying, with all these little fun facts of 1960 and all this other stuff, we might as well just go for the guts, though. You know what I'm saying? We stand on our ground is Naia, and y'all ground is out of Africa. So what I'm saying, we can go either way with this. Do
Right.
you
Well,
wanna?
we were actually talking about that before you got on the call. We went over that with Lotus regarding Naya and whatnot. But I just wanted to clarify that I'm not necessarily saying that I feel offended that the self-proclaimed Aboriginal community is taking up on claiming that they were the original of the Americas or whatnot. I find no offense to that whatsoever. I mean, uh, I want to point out that what they say can be offensive to a lot of Native Americans, and a lot of time it's said in with ill will. I definitely believe that and you can see it. I mean, you can see it with characters like Dane Calloway or whatnot. It seems that they get very defensive for anybody to even question where they're coming from. They automatically get extremely defensive, and that's the only issue that we have a problem with. Is just why the defensiveness? Why such a defensiveness towards science? But having said that, obviously the topic of Naya is one of the ones that often comes up because people in the self-proclaimed Aboriginal community want to use her as an example of black Aboriginals having been here before the quote unquote Mongoloid Native Americans,
Wait, tell
and
me,
not only that,
I don't want to go ahead. Black
and not
Aboriginal.
only yeah, and not only that, or if you don't want to use the word black, but nonetheless, people that would be classified, most definitely, that would be classified as black by the American United States system, I would say, and more than just that, they're not only saying that, but they're also saying, and those who you call African Americans, we are we are them. We are them. We are those Aboriginals that you see on skeletons, that you see as skeletons like Naya and Eva and or rather what's her name, Lucia, right? So they're not only saying that the first Americans were black like them, and of course I already know y'all don't like the word black, but that's what most people would identify you as, and so the self-proclaimed Aboriginal community is not only saying that those skeletons would have been black, but they're also saying, and they are us. They are those who you would today call African Americans, and that's what we have a problem with.
Right, right. So it seems like it seems like there's a lot of like you very keen in what we say, and you very keen in what the so-called quote unquote self-proclaimed people, you're very keen on that. But what we trying to figure out is, what do you say, what do you stand? So you understand where we stand, but where do you stand
All
is
right,
because we stand
Right,
on
all
the
and
fact that Naya,
right, let
that
me
we are descendants of Naya. So what do you stand? Are you saying
right,
Naya is a
let me
descendant of
absolutely.
yours?
let me read a couple
Or
Yeah,
things
no,
for you.
let me ask,
hold
let me
on, Joseph.
let him
Hold
finish
on.
this question. Are you saying Naya is a descendant of yours, or what exactly are you saying?
Right, no, exactly. And that's a great question. So that is where we say the only thing that we have as a buffer between the both of us is science. That's the only thing that we have as a buffer to be the resolution to the contradictions or to the opposite claims is science. That's the only thing that we can possibly go by. So I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem whatsoever if Naya's DNA, for example, matches the DNA of African Americans. If that's the case, then boom, okay, that's it. There's no debate.
Oh,
You are the descendants of Naya. But if
oh,
that's not the case, then it is what science tells us.
okay. So what do you say? That's what I'm
I
trying to
say
figure out.
I say what the DNA that they extracted from Naya says. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay.
Which is that she matches her haplogroup was haplogroup D1, and that matches modern Native American
Okay,
population.
so basically you saying Naya is a Native American. Okay, so
Yeah,
this basically take the ground, pretty much take the ground from under us if this is true. Do you understand that? So there
right,
is
right.
no other argument. We don't have to go about the slavery and the boat and all this because that's the ground we stand on. So we're gonna go
I
ahead and
love that.
we gonna go ahead and let Joseph go in, let Lotus go in, and then we finna go ahead and nip this in the bud, and we gonna get to some, some science.
All right,
We
let me
should say,
read this.
right? All right,
It
go ahead.
says further analysis, and this is from the Business Insider. I'll put it in the back chat. I have several sources that say the same thing, but I'll go ahead and read it. It says further analysis, DNA analysis of Naya's skeleton shows an even more astonishing find. Naya is directly related to 11,000-year-old graves excavated by anthropologists and archaeologists in Alaska. Researchers think that this means that the entire population of Native Americans from the tip of South America to the Arctic descend from the same population of intrepid hunter-gatherers who crossed the land bridge from Siberia thousands of years ago. Um,
Okay.
that's one.
Now, can you do me a favor? Can you bring up George Lopez's DNA results, please? Can you do that? Can you read that off real quick? Because we
Okay.
because we heard the story of Naya's DNA. Okay,
Right.
but what
Right.
we finna do, we finna take a look at Georges Lopez's. Now what we now what we got to understand is that when it comes to science and when it comes to the scientific community, there's a buffer within the scientific community because the scientific community there, um, we should say it's more like employees. They're more like employees. They're like for hire. They're lawyers. So I can literally, once we get established, so we can literally, hire our own, Chinese, anthropologists or our own Chinese explorers, and we can pretty much go tell them what we want to go find and what we want to go see, and they can do that. But the point is that, when it comes to mass production and mass media, a lot of us, like myself, I kind of get hit by that. So I don't really know the insider stuff in the scientific community, and so this is where a lot of you guys can actually teach me. Now I get to hit by the Disney Channel. I get hit by the History Channel. I get hit by the movies. So I get hit by the mass production and the mass media because the mass production and the mass media it overrides science. It's more powerful than science. It's more powerful than the science community. It has more money than the science community. And if you want to get real, it implores the scientific community. So so right now, what we're gonna do is we finna take a walk inside that so-called mass media, and now we finna get some simple DNA results. Now you heard how Naya's was it was a story behind it, and oh yeah, the Native Americans and blah blah. Now I want you to watch how simple the media displays George Lopez's DNA compared to Naya's story of her DNA. So let's go ahead. You
Mhm.
got the results up. What do you got? What?
Yeah. So his DNA results were 55% European,
Okay.
32% Native American,
Okay.
9% East Asian,
Okay.
and 4% Sub-Saharan African.
Okay.
Those were his
Now,
results.
can you find me Naya's DNA report exactly like that? That says
No,
that.
because his DNA result was autosomal DNA test. Her DNA result was from haplogroup DNA test.
So it was a different task now, right?
Yeah,
It
Yes.
wasn't the same. So why is that?
because for ancient DNA, especially for ancient DNA, what can be retrieved most of the time is well, in her case, so she's a female, so in her case actually it was the mitochondrial genome that they were able to sequence, right? And the mitochondria is passed down from mother to daughter
Hold
and
on.
son. The
Can I
mitochondrial
can I
DNA.
Because it seems like you're explaining to me how it
Yeah,
works.
so I'm gonna
So I
explain to you
understand.
why you can
I
only get
understand
one
how.
marker. I'm
Right.
gonna explain to you why you can only get one marker out of her versus uh, dozens of markers out of George Lopez.
Okay. So you're explaining to me how scientists can only get. Now we're talking about scientists, how they can only get one marker out of
Hmm.
her, and they can get 4 or 5 out of George Lopez's.
Right, a living human being versus a human fossil.
Okay, so
Right.
DNA is not one of those things that if you have DNA, you got it. Or is those one of those things you got to have?
It is.
Well, hold on.
If
Is it one
you
of those things you got to have for DNA? You got a certain percent of DNA. Is DNA or DNA come in like percentages?
Yeah, so you say you're a numbers guy, right?
Yes, I am.
So there's something about odds, right? So if we assume that all modern Native American people, right, are going to match those skeletons, right, and and um and you happen to pull out one of those skeletons and you happen to pull DNA out of it, right? Let's say that you didn't get the whole genome from Naia, but you got some DNA out, right? And you
Oh, I'm
right,
sorry to
right, but
cut
I'm
you
trying to
off.
explain something. I'm trying to explain something to you.
Yep. Go
So
ahead. Go
so
ahead.
you got some because you're a numbers guy, right?
Yep.
So you got some DNA out of her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So you can nonetheless, even though you don't have the whole genome, but you
Right.
have some DNA
You
out
have
of her,
something, right?
you have something to compare and contrast her DNA
Right.
with the Native Americans, right?
Right.
And other populations. They don't just match her with Native Americans. They compare and contrast her to all living populations
Right.
around the world.
Right.
That's the way uh, genomic sequencing and reference populations
Okay.
work. That's
So
the way
so
it
let me
works, right?
understand.
So
So let.
hold
Oh.
on. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. So we agree so far that you can do that, right? We could do that, right?
Well, that
So
doesn't make sense to me. But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. So because I
okay,
just want to
so
What?
ask more
so
questions.
hold on because I'm trying to help you out here. So how does it not make sense that you're able to pull some DNA out of her? We agree that you're not able to pull the whole thing out of her, but you're able to take some DNA fragments out of her, right? What part doesn't make sense that you can compare and contrast that DNA to all of the people around the world?
Well, the thing is that you saying that article does not display that. That's something you're implying. So what
Okay,
you're
because
wait, let me finish. Let me finish. What you're implying
Tribe.
and what the article says is two
yeah,
different things.
well,
You're
because the
saying, well,
article.
hold on.
Let me explain
Let me
why though. Let
finish.
me explain why though.
Slow
Let me
down,
explain
bro.
why.
Can you slow down? Just slow down for a
Yeah.
second.
Uh huh.
Let me. I'll let you talk. Just finish for a second. All right. We good,
Go
right?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We
Go ahead.
good. We good. Now I understand what you're saying. Okay,
Right.
and it makes some sense, and it doesn't really make too much sense, but
Right,
I'll
but
give you
what
some
part
points.
doesn't make sense?
But I'm gonna get there, and but I'm gonna I'm gonna explain that. But the point is that when he read the article, okay,
Right.
it didn't tell us that, well, we abstracted this we did this
Oh, oh,
possibility experiment, and these different possibilities, and so
that
this possibility
that
or
it
this.
Hold
that
Wait,
on,
wait, whoa,
is
Joseph.
whoa,
the
whoa,
Hold on,
whoa, whoa,
Joseph.
whoa, hey
Hold
y'all, chill, chill,
sorry, but that's implied because that's how genetic analysis works.
can I talk or no? I know you running the show, but can I talk? If you want to talk, you go ahead. But
No,
Oh no,
no,
you
go
at
ahead.
some point
Finish
you
your
gotta let
sentence.
me talk, right?
no, I just wanted to object because that's implied. Because that's how DNA analysis works. You're compared to reference populations. Now, I do have other articles that
So
mention
I
that.
guess I can't talk.
No, I
Go
just
ahead,
had to
Joe.
object because you made a statement that wasn't necessarily true. So, but you can continue.
Well, the thing is that because I read the article, and it was very complex, and it did not mention that they have a certain percent of her DNA. You see what I'm saying? So I wasn't aware of that. You see what I'm saying? And so so this is what I'm telling you is that what they're selling and what they're saying could be totally different. Like sometimes you ever watch TV and they show something and they say something different. This is kind of what's going on here. So what their article's saying, and then what the mass produced media is saying, and what he's saying, we have three different public possibilities, and so he's explaining it in this possibility way that has a little more sense. But then when you read the article, the article does not say any of that. It has this little story and this little backline,
Right.
and it doesn't have any of that. And then when you go to George Lopez, the mass-produced media, it's pretty laid out, simple.
Right.
We're dealing with we're dealing with three different elements here. We're dealing with three different, and so the reason why why we on edge of this is because we might not be hardcore anthropologists, but we know bullshit when we smell bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I
Okay.
was young before. I know what it's like to bullshit women. You know what I'm saying? I know what it's like. You got a chick on the phone, at a chick house on the phone. I mean, we used to bullshit these little women, so we know what I'm saying. We know what's bullshit. But see, I'm pretty sure you kind of smell some bullshit, a little bit of bullshit there. Now, what you just explained a possibility. Okay, that was not a fact, or there
Okay.
was
At
not
what point
Well,
truth.
am I gonna
But
be able
no,
to talk?
I'm finna go right now. But that was not a truth or a fact what you
Okay.
just displayed. It was a possibility, and so I understand your possibility, but it's just giving us deeper and taking us
Okay.
further away.
it's a fact based
Hold on, Joseph.
on the
Hold on,
data
because
collected.
I want to reiterate to the audience. So to the audience, once again, to the audience. Okay. So when I asked Tribe, what is it that doesn't make sense? Tribe answered, because what you are saying is not what the article is saying. That's at the end of the day, that's what he's saying. That's what his reason is for what I said not making sense. He's saying that what I said doesn't make sense because what I'm saying is not the same thing that the article that Joseph read is saying. That's what he's saying. Okay, so
And
the reason why what I'm saying is not the exact same thing that's in the content of what Joseph read is because the content that's inside of what Joseph read, that article was for the mainstream audience. It was not the article, it was not the scientific publication of the methodology that was used to arrive at those conclusions. If you want to read the methodology that was used to arrive at those conclusions, you have to click on the page of the article where it says sources, and they have links to the actual scientific publications where they explain step by step the extraction method that they used for the DNA. They will explain to you how they ran it through PCR. They will explain to you how they ran it through gel electrophoresis. They will explain to you how then they send it off for sequencing, and they will tell you whether they use Sagner sequencing or they use next-gen sequencing or they use the type of sequencing that they have in Oxford nowadays. They will explain those to you. They will explain those things to you in the actual scientific publication for scholars and academics to read the methodology so that they can peer review and check their peers if they did a mistake. And then they take that data and they publish the mainstream scientific article for the people, for the masses in Scientific American or in the Nature publication that's not the scholarly version,
which is
and
a
so on and
which
so
are
forth.
interpretations from authors and reporters, not the
Right,
scientists themselves.
exactly,
right.
and so that Scientific American or that Business Insider publication that Joseph read, that was actually not supposed to be complicated at all. That's actually for the mainstream audience. That's for the
Right
people.
now, so you just made my point. That was my point that I was trying to make. But one of the things I said that I
Right.
had a problem with is that you just came up with another probability. You did not show any. You did not have any concrete. It's just a possibility. Now, when you say
It's
the word sequence, sequence ain't nothing but is another probability. You see, you sequence. It's a possibility,
no
bro. It's another probability. So you just going off with
sequence has
probabilities
nothing.
on
Sequence
probabilities,
has nothing.
bro. Chill out for a second, bro. I can bring up the software, bro. Hold on, man. Let me finish, all right?
Right, go ahead.
And then I'm gonna let you go. You see what I'm saying? And so that was one of the main problems I said. Not only did I say I smell bullshit, but I also said that you brought up another possibility. And so by you bringing up another possibility, That's just a possibility, bro. Like how many? Like when are we gonna get past possibilities and possibilities? Because if we want to talk possibilities and possibilities, we gonna keep talking for the rest of our lives. And so,
Right. Well,
and
that's
so when
why.
I asked you the question, you didn't bring up anything that was hardcore. You brought up another possibility and probability. So therefore, if you ask me a question, I can make up a probability that fits my narrative if I want to. I could just make it
but
up out of the
but is
blue.
it
You see what I'm saying?
Just like
Without,
those scientists.
but hold on,
but
without
is it
any,
supported by the data? Is your
but hold on, without any, without any, hardcore or concrete evidence, just some little evidence. Now, when you explain that there's three different stages, okay, this is my point that I'm talking about, y'all. Understand what I'm saying. Now, he's saying there's this scientific community, and then the information get passed on to this another community, and then the information get mass produced. And so now you're up against three different types of stages. And the mass produced stage is the most powerful stage. So it doesn't matter what the scientists say, bro. Nobody gives a shit. It's that mass produced element that your kids are going to be talking about. It's that mass produced element that we're going to be uttering in schools and on bus stops and in laundromats and barbershops. Okay, so we have to separate them. Which one are we going to
right?
hit?
Okay.
And
Which
that
one are
and
we going to?
that's the issue. There's
Wait. But which one are we going to hit? Are we going to hit the mass
that's
produced
the issue.
stage today, or
No matter
are we going to go deep down into the software that they're using? So which one
Go
you
ahead,
guys
Jason.
want to go with, because they're
Well,
both
that's
if
that's
I
the
could
issue.
answer,
No matter which source you go to, they're all going to say the same thing about Naia's haplogroups and which populations she's ancestor of.
right
right, but they're
now,
not saying what
if I
she's
could,
not either. They're also saying what
hold
she's
on.
not.
If I could,
But
if I could say something, it's not scientists' fault. Okay, that the mass majority of people are not going to have an education in molecular biology. That is not their fault. I'm sorry if you cannot read scientific publications that are meant for academics who do know how to read that because they took molecular
Okay,
biology courses in college. So what the Nature article does, or what Scientific American does, or what the Business Insider does, is simplify it for the people, or in your terms, because you seem to use such um, you're trying to say that at the end of the day it's just probabilities, bruh. So if we're gonna say it in those terms, then excuse me, but in those terms, then they're fucking dumbing it down to the dumb motherfuckers that don't go to school. So I'm sorry, that's just the fact. That's just the case,
okay, but see, this is what you have to understand. Who's more powerful,
bruh.
bro? Which one is more powerful? Because you have to
that
understand,
that does
scientists are hired, so they're not that smart. If you have a job, bro, if they're really that smart and they're really educated, the mass produced people should be working for them. But instead, they're working for them. So let's not kind of get into this schooling and who's smarter, because if I'm a smart scientist, I will not be hired by fucking George Judy and whatever the fucking some private investigator. No, they will work for me. So we have to understand. You have to understand what you're dealing with. And so all we need to do is smell some garbage. That's one of the main things. Now, when we smell garbage, you have to do some investigating, not
I smell the light.
scholarship. But hold on, not scholarship. Okay, not reading
Hmm.
books, not reading documents, but investigating. So when we are doing investigating, okay,
Investigating
yes,
or
investigating.
investigating? You mean
Yes,
investigating?
yes, investigating. Right.
Uh
Now
huh.
it becomes a BS chase, and it becomes a probability chase. Now,
Uh huh.
the scientific now so basically, this is Nair right here. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions, but I'm going to answer. If
No,
they're
hold
wrong,
on,
but
but
hold
because
on.
we're,
If
we're
one
not
thing,
finished with
it's
that.
not a probability that Naya's haplogroup is D1. That's what her haplogroup is, D1. That's not a probability. It just is.
Yes, that is a
Actually,
probability,
yeah,
dude.
that
It is
is.
a
That
probability.
is.
Oh, it's
That is.
Right.
not.
Yes, it
But
Okay,
is.
okay.
Okay, what is
If
D1?
that wait, if that's a probability, then there are other haplogroups that she is probably a part of. What are they? Since you guys are
Right,
saying it's a
right. That's
probability,
it's all the
what are the
Those
other
probabilities.
are all
probable
haplo.
haplogroups?
Those are
What are the
all haplogroups. Anything dealing with these letters and numbers attached to DNA. Show me the blood. Let me see. Do I find D or what exactly is the catalog attached to this
so
blood?
Right.
You got to
I'll
get
in
to
break
other
that
it.
words,
down to you.
Let's
I'll
break
break
it
that
down.
down to you.
hold on, tribe. Hold on, tribe.
he asked the
Hold on,
question,
tribe. Hold on,
let
tribe.
Raul answer.
Hold on, tribe. Hold on, tribe. So, in other words, Lotus, what you're saying is that you would like to attend a class in molecular biology and how to extract DNA from specimens. That's what you're saying.
No, no,
Is
no.
that
Yeah,
you
but
would
you're
like
gonna
to
end
learn
up
that?
working for
It's
some
not.
weirdo at the end of
Show
your course. You're gonna
because
end up
because
being hired by
listen to
some.
what you're saying. Because listen to it. At the end of the day, you were so willing to accept what the results of the Business Insider article were, but when it came down to the science of the methodology behind it, when it came down to the science of the methodology behind how they arrived at those conclusions, now all of a sudden you have a problem with it. Now all of a sudden, oh, that's not fair. That's some fancy scientific bullshit.
And I was just about to say that's where these
And the real shit is the simplified article. That's what the kids can read.
Okay, okay.
and
So
that's I
so
was just
let's
about to
let,
say
let's get real. Let's
that's
get
where
real,
these
y'all.
conversations always lead to
Yeah, I don't.
is
But
to is to conspiracy theories. And if we're
okay,
just gonna spit out conspiracy theories and not go by the data, we can make up fucking anything.
okay.
We
So
we
define
have
the
to go by the
conspiracy
data.
theory that you heard
Give me
today.
that, Joseph.
Define one you heard today.
That somehow they are misrepresenting her haplogroup. That's a conspiracy theory.
Okay, so who said that?
You
You,
did.
I do.
That's been your
Did I
saying,
say
whole.
that?
well,
Hold on. What
to be
exactly
fair,
did I say?
you're
What
saying
exact?
that to be fair, you're saying that it is a probabilistic argument, and that's fair. But that's
I
why
don't.
I wanted to
Right? Is
talk to
that a
you.
conspiracy, bro?
That's
No,
not a.
I wouldn't say
Oh
that's a
no, no. Hold on.
conspiracy,
Let him
but
speak. Let him speak. Is that a conspiracy, bro?
To me, yes.
Okay.
If you don't have
Okay.
evidence, if you don't have evidence that she has some other haplogroup, and they are just saying she has D1 haplogroup, that's a conspiracy theory. You're saying
Okay.
they are
So
misrepresenting something without evidence.
so
That's a conspiracy.
let me get this straight. So any opposing argument, any opposing information can be considered a conspiracy theory.
No, if you have actually
Now
opposing,
I'm gonna.
if you actually have opposing data, no, that's not a conspiracy theory. If you're
Okay.
just saying I don't believe
No,
this
I didn't say
because
that. I didn't
I
say
think
I
people
did.
are conspiring to give wrong data,
But
then
but
that is a
but
conspiracy
you have
theory.
to listen to what I'm saying. You have to slow down. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying it is a probability. I did not say it's not. I
right,
did
and
not
that's
say it
why
wasn't. Okay,
if I
you
could
have
just say
to
real quick, if
listen
I
to
could
the
just say real
cyborg,
quick,
bro. Like you have to go in a little deeper because you're taking what I'm saying and you're making your own
okay,
interpretations.
tribe, okay,
Hold on,
tribe, if I could,
wait. But you're making your own interpretations in what I'm saying. I never said that. I simply said it is a probability. Is it or is it not a probability? Yes or no?
yes,
No.
it is, but that's why
Okay, so now you
I
got
wanted,
split decisions right here. I gotta
Right.
pee. I gotta pee, y'all.
Now,
Y'all gotta
it's
pee.
okay.
This shit
Let me.
crazy.
it's a high. I would say this. Hold on, Lotus, because that's the reason why I wanted to talk in the first place Tribe about when I asked him, Tribe, you're a math guy, right? You claim that you're a math guy and you're all about probabilities and statistics and so on. That means you understand them, right? And by the way, for the audience, just for the audience, you guys do realize that people get PhDs in statistical analysis. You do
It,
understand that,
that,
right? Like
it's
there's a
a field
whole
of study.
field. in being competent enough to talk about probabilities. Okay, yes, it does
and
require a
and
lot
a
of math.
probability can be 100%. So what does that even mean? That's why I
Right.
asked what are the probability it's something else.
Right. So the reason. So hold on, Lotus. So the reason why I wanted to ask Tribe that you claim you're a math guy, right? So if it is assumed from the get go, right, because of all the other fountains of evidence that the modern people, Native Americans of today, should match those skeletons because we assume that those are the direct ancestors of these people, right? What are the odds that even when we what are the odds that even when we find a skeleton that we don't have the whole genome but we have a part of the genome, what are the
Okay.
odds that sure enough it happens to match the people? In my personal opinion, that's where Tribe gathered a problem with that. That's where all of a sudden he felt offended by that because he knows that it's not going to match African Americans. Of course not.
Well,
But
this is
and
the
so that's
thing.
where he's trying to say
This
that
is
it's
the thing. Okay,
probabilistic.
when you're dealing with something called solid numbers, okay, everybody know what a solid number is. Okay, this is what I deal with. You have to understand who you're talking to.
You mean
Okay,
whole numbers,
now
bro?
when you're dealing with solid numbers, okay, that's actually true. So when we turn towards, let's say, craniology, okay, it is more solid. Okay, when you're dealing with DNA and all this other stuff, you're dealing with different types of
Mm-mm.
probabilities.
Craniology is not more solid than
But
DNA.
hold on, hold
Yes,
on,
it
hold
is.
on, hold on, hold on. I said
Yes,
numbers.
it
I
is.
said numbers. But just hold on, bro. You're not, as I'm talking too fast
Well,
for
you
you.
said craniology. We already dismissed
No,
I
but
craniology a
said
hold
long
up,
time
hold up.
ago,
craniology
Wait,
man.
is
wait,
more
wait,
solid, and
wait,
it's
wait.
not more
I,
solid than
can
DNA.
you can
Okay,
you
that
can
was on
you
my channel. My
hold
bad.
on,
Hold on.
hold
That
on.
was on
So
my channel.
here we
You're not
go.
ready for
So I
craniometry. I
guess I
got
can't
something
talk.
there. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go
So
ahead.
here we go. So when you're
I'm
dealing
just
with solid
objecting when
numbers,
you say something that's false.
okay, okay, but when you're dealing with solid numbers, you're dealing with something that's irrefuted. Okay, because when you're dealing in with craniology, you're also dealing with a probability. But what you have is solid numbers. So what you do is you take these solid numbers and you match them up against other solid numbers, and therefore you have a probability based on solid numbers. Okay? Do everybody understand that?
No, no,
Okay,
nobody
okay,
understands that,
okay.
Tribe, because your audience is like,
Now,
what the fuck is he
now,
talking about?
when you're talking
Nah,
about DNA, okay, you're taking some
Wait,
probabilities against some
hold on.
probabilities against some probabilities.
Here,
Okay.
wait, wait.
Now, this
Here's
is
some
what I
solid
want.
numbers.
Hold
Here's
on.
some
This,
solid numbers.
but this is what I want you to understand. Okay. Now, when you look at, so for example, when you look at Naya's craniology, okay, her craniology.
Craniometry, not craniology,
Well,
dude.
well, come.
Craniometry.
Hey,
Craniometry, not craniology. Craniometry.
hey, Mr. Jimmo, sir.
Dude,
I'm
Lotus
not.
can
I'm not.
tell you we dismissed craniology a long time ago,
Listen,
Tribe.
listen, listen,
no,
You're
listen.
that
illiterate. You're
that
Listen.
was
Can I
illiterate.
can I
hold
can I
on, hold
talk,
on.
or do we gotta start
Well, hold
throwing?
on. Let
Do we
Lotus
gotta
talk.
throwing
Lotus,
insults?
is he
Okay.
correct or incorrect in saying craniology,
Okay.
Lotus? Yes or
No,
no?
he is absolutely correct. Y'all talking about
How? How?
craniometry.
Okay. So can I
Craniology.
talk?
Craniology.
You are
Craniology
talking
means
about
These dudes ain't
intelligence
gonna let me
into
talk,
skull
y'all.
structure.
So what I'm gonna have to do is
Craniology means your
I, I,
intelligence
I,
matches a
I'm
skull
probably finna
size.
I'm probably finna go on mute.
Craniology is the
Craniology,
These dudes
measurement.
not gonna let me
craniology.
Craniology is
talk.
the study of
Um,
intellect in relation
yeah,
to the
they're
measurement.
not gonna let me
no.
talk, and they
No,
don't they
hold
don't
on.
really understand what
Let
I'm
the
saying.
audience decide, Tribe. Let the
Okay,
audience
okay.
decide, Tribe.
Can I
Let the
can I
audience
talk?
decide, Tribe.
Can I talk?
Craniology,
Okay,
craniology is the relationship between intelligence and skull size. That's not what we're saying.
Okay,
okay.
so
So
Craniometry is
You're using the
the
wrong
listen to
term.
what.
measurement.
You're using the wrong term.
Okay,
craniometry.
listen to what I'm saying. Okay, can we
We
slow
have been.
down?
That's the
But
problem.
you
Can
said
we?
it
Can we?
wrong, Tribe. That's the point. You said it
Are we
wrong,
are we going
Tribe.
to cry? Are we going
Uh,
to fight? What's going
You
on
said
here?
it wrong, though. Correct yourself.
Okay,
Admit that.
listen to
hey.
what I'm saying.
Correct
We
Okay,
have
yourself.
to. We
now
have to be precise
let me
for the
start
audience
over.
members to
I'm gonna
Yeah.
understand.
slow it
No,
down. Let me
don't start
start
over.
over, or we're gonna have to go on commercial or something. These guys, I don't think they're gonna let me
Yeah,
talk.
you have to go on a commercial because that's
Okay,
dumb. That's very
now
dumb. How are you
listen
going
to
to say
listen to
craniology when
listen
the
to
proper term is
No, no.
listen to
craniometry?
what I'm saying. Okay, listen to what
Craniometry.
I'm
Go,
saying.
go ahead. Try
Now,
talking about
what I
craniometry.
am saying, the measurements of the skull. Okay,
Craniometry.
it
Exactly.
requires it requires solid
Right,
numbers.
Lotus. Right, Lotus.
Okay.
Exactly, Lotus. Not craniology. Right, Lotus. Not
That's right.
Okay,
craniology.
okay,
It's
sure, sure. Okay,
craniometry.
okay, I
That's
got
right.
it.
It's
Okay.
craniometry. Get it right. So don't
You
try to
got it.
correct me. Don't try to correct me, Lotus, when I'm trying to correct your boy over here,
He
Okay.
got
because
it.
he's
He
wrong.
got it.
So are
He
you
got it.
Exactly.
correcting me
He
because
got
you
it.
don't
Yes, I am correcting you. I am
you don't
correcting you,
understand what
Tribe.
I mean? So you don't understand what I'm saying?
Craniology has nothing to do with the sequencing of her DNA. And you're
There
talking about the
might there
probabilities of
might
it.
be an audience
Okay.
of
So
higher intellect
listen
uh,
to what I'm saying
than
first, okay?
general audience that understand this terminology. So
Before
we
you
have to
go
be precise
before
so
you
they
go on
know exactly what we're
a
talking about.
commercial, before you go on a commercial break, okay? Can I finish my point at all? Can I do
Yes,
that?
Go
continue.
ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
without a commercial break.
If you say something wrong, though, I'm gonna object.
Yep, I'm going to jump over and over again until you get it right. So go ahead.
Okay, okay. Now, the measurement of the skull, okay? What it provides is solid numbers, okay? These numbers are not for probability. They are solid, okay? Now, what they do is they take these solid numbers and they match it
Mhm,
up with other solid numbers, okay? Now,
mhm,
what they then do is they then come up with a probability, okay, with solid numbers. And the solid
mhm,
numbers will then have a prediction. Okay, so it's not 100% true, but the
mhm.
odds are very high. Okay, do everybody understand that? Now, when you look at Naia, okay, Naia is what you would consider Naia a Negro. Is that correct or no? Would you
No,
consider
N-
Naia a Negro? Yes or no?
no.
no,
Okay. Now, is this based on her DNA or based on
Based
her
on the
skull?
the
based
both.
on her skull. Yeah, both.
Okay, so the article I read clearly says she has a Negro skull. So, what article are you talking about saying she don't have a Negro skull? What
Right.
article are you talking about?
Yes, they're saying they would associate her skull, right, to Melanesian,
Negro, let's
Austronesian.
not get weird, bro. Negro or not, bro. Let's keep
There,
it
no,
No,
real.
no,
there's
hold
no,
on, because
there is
they're
a
using.
difference.
Hold on, Joseph, because they're using reference population. So the skull structure of an Australian Aboriginal is not exactly the same as African. So
Is a Australian Aboriginal a Negro? Yes or no?
it depends what you mean by that, and that's why, and that's why
Okay,
okay, yeah, so let me ask you,
hold on
what do you
one
consider?
second, one second. So let me make my point. You know what I'm saying? Now, so everybody know
Okay,
everybody
Chuck,
every
you've been
but
talking for the last 30 minutes. Can
okay,
you hurry it
because you
up?
guys been interrupting and did a commercial. I said, can you not have a commercial? And what I'm saying
Okay,
is,
but you asked the question, and
go ahead,
we're
man. Go
trying to.
ahead. Do what you want to do.
Okay,
Go ahead,
yeah,
man. Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. Thank you, Tribe. Thank you, Tribe. Thank you, Tribe. So, for example, right? If you consider general, listen to what I'm saying, and please feel free to Google these terms as I'm saying them. Google them, please Google them.
Analyze the
No, you
morphology.
Okay.
don't.
So if
Don't
you're
Google that
saying
shit, y'all. Don't Google that shit.
if you are to consider, right, a general robusticity as as having to be equivalent with Negroid, quote unquote Negroid, right? Then peoples who have no direct ancestry to African populations, Australian populations, and etc., would fall under that spectrum. But that doesn't mean that they are Negroid just because they have a robust skull structure. Okay,
Hmm.
a robust skull structure
Okay.
means,
Now, I'm not
yeah,
talking about robust skull structure. I'm talking
Yes,
in
you are.
yes
numbers.
you are, yes you
No,
are,
no, no,
Tribe.
no.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm
Yes you are,
literally
Tribe. Yes you
talking
are.
about the
You said,
numbers.
do you consider Naya skull structure? Do you consider Naya Negroid? That's what you asked. That's what the fuck you asked,
It's a
Tribe.
yes or
Stop
no
it.
question. You
Stop it.
said no,
Stop it.
right?
It's not. It's not. It's not. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
it's not.
not.
It's
It's
not.
not.
Okay, okay,
It's not
okay. So,
because
so okay. So Naya is not a Negro, you guys. She's a
nope,
1,200
it's not.
year old Asian. Okay, is that
Yeah.
what you
Basically,
guys saying?
that's what they're saying.
That's what you guys saying?
I disagree.
Well, her if her ancestors crawled if her ancestors crossed the Bering Strait 23,000 years ago, that would not make her Asian anymore. She's American.
Wait, isn't
Correct.
that crossing of the Bering Straits a theory?
Well,
No,
okay,
it's
The,
okay.
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
So
scientific
It's a
now,
theory.
scientific
okay,
theory,
so this is
Lotus.
the
It's a
thing, you
science.
guys.
Scientific theory.
Naya has a Negro skull. You can read it up on Naya. It clearly states that. Okay, in the
It
different,
it
but hold on, in the
Negro.
different levels, in the
it will say
scientific level,
Negroid. It will say
but
Negro like.
okay,
It'll say it is
okay,
Negro
we
like.
we
That is
understand.
because
Listen,
wait,
bro.
no, no, you listen. And that's because she is a paleo mongoloid,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Right.
So
Proto
basically,
Mongoloid.
this is
Do you know
another
what a
argument.
paleo mongoloid is?
This is
He
another.
does not. He does not. He
A
This
does
is
paleo
not, Joseph.
mongoloid
Tribe does not know what the fuck.
okay.
is a
So
stage that all mongoloids went through when they were in transition from australoid skull structure, which would be more close to negroid,
right.
or congoid, which is what you guys are actually talking
I
about.
knew that was coming up. So this is where
Right.
things finna get real weird.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is where
well,
things finna get weird for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
right.
You
But
gotta
but
look in
but
the
first,
mirror,
but
Tribe.
first
You
I'm
Paleomongoloid
got,
trying
is a
to.
before you get back, you
transi-
gotta look
But
in the
first
mirror.
I'm trying to
Paleomongoloid is a transitional state from between australoid and neo-mongoloid or classic mongoloid.
Thank you for
They're
that.
all
Thank you for that
dark skinned. They're
explanation.
all brown and dark.
Yes. Now can I speak now or no?
Hold on. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna let you speak, but let me say this. Because she's in a transitional phase, right? Or her people were in a transitional phase from a australoid or negroid skull structure to a classic mongoloid skull structure. Because of that, because of the fact that she's in a transitional phase, right? She's gonna have some elements of her skull structure like the robusticity, the generalized robusticity, that are going to fall within quote unquote negroid populations, but she's also going to have some elements that were already developing because of the cold adaptation. So, for example, her most likely what she would have had a short stature, right? The epicanthic eye fold. That means the chinky eyes. For those of you who are not scientifically literate, that means the chinky eyes. Okay, and other phenotypes like those were already developing in her and her ancestors as they were making their way across the Bering Strait.
Why? Because that population spent time in the northern regions and was cold. They were becoming cold adapted.
Yeah. Now go
So,
ahead, Trey.
Okay. So it's my
mhm.
turn to talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, okay. Now you guys kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I was hoping to get that. I was hoping to try to get my point out so we can go to that because I knew that exactly where you guys was going. So sorry, you guys. I want to try to make my point clear, at least for my listening audience. Now understanding that Naya was basically considered to be a Negro, and she would be considered the first American Negro. She did not come on no slave boats. She did not come in chains. Where she comes from or how she got here is nothing but probability and speculation. But all we know is that she was a Negro and she were
She
here.
had
And so
negroid-like features.
now this is the
Doesn't
Come
mean she
thing.
was a
on,
Now,
Negro.
but this is the
come
thing.
on, man.
When you look,
Let him
can I can I
finish.
can I can I talk or do you want to talk? Okay. Now this is the thing. Okay. Now when you understanding what I'm understanding, you understanding my logic and you understanding where I'm coming from. I know you guys probably don't do that. So I'm gonna ask you because what scientific method, all the stuff you just explained, okay? Because you can't get eyes and all that other stuff and row and all this other stuff just from DNA. And so I'm just gonna ask you and just let you go in and let you just talk because obviously you're gonna let me talk, but I'm gonna get you when I'm ready. So, what scientific methods are you guys using to explain your story? Because it seems like there's a lot of
Let's
storytelling.
see.
It seems like there's a lot of storytelling and not a lot of hardcore, numbers or anything hardcore. So, can
Let's
you
see.
tell the story
We're
on the method that you guys are using?
let's see. We're
Okay.
using climatology, archaeology, paleontology, paleogenetics, archaeogenetics, population genetics. What else? Uh,
That's pretty much it.
Linguistics can go into
Linguist.
that.
Oh no, don't do that. Come on, Joe.
Cultural
Cultural
continuity.
anthropology.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
hmm
I,
now
that's not an
now
ology,
this is
by
what I
the way.
want to know. Those are a lot of
Yeah,
different
I'm
methods.
sorry. I'm
Now,
sorry that you
so
didn't go to school. I'm
now
sorry that you didn't go to school. That's
now
not my fault, bro.
I
That's
did.
not my fault.
now
That's
this
not
is
my
what I want
fault.
to ask
I
you
It's not
did.
my
because
fault.
thank
That's
you
not
for
my
Well,
fault, bro. You're mad that you didn't go to
Joe.
school. Is what you're saying. You're mad that you didn't go to school. That's not our fault, bro.
okay. So now you guys are using a lot of different methods, and now I want to
We
know
that
what
that is how science works. You
okay,
use
okay.
multiple. You wait, wait, wait. I'm explaining to your audience.
Oh
That's
Let
how
me
my
science.
finish, bro.
Wait,
Let
wait,
me finish
god.
before you
wait,
start
wait,
talking,
wait. We
bro.
we
You're
I'm
not
not.
use
gonna
I'm
do
not.
we
that this
wait.
time,
You
Everything y'all
okay?
use
said
multiple.
You
is
keep
You
doing that,
logical.
okay? And so you're not gonna do it this time. Every time I speak, you got a commercial right in the middle of my shit, bro. If you can't handle the information, get the fuck off the call. I'm the cyborg, bro. This normal for
yeah,
motherfuckers to
but
get upset. So you gotta chill out,
you're
bro.
making ignorant
Okay?
statements.
Now
That's how
this is what
science
I'm
works.
trying to say. You
You
guys
use
have
multiple. You
okay,
triangulate
you're not even
multiple
let me finish
For
what I'm
scientific disciplines
saying.
for the
Okay,
to
let me
audience, for the
corroborate your
finish.
audience,
evidence.
Okay,
for the
now
audience, for the audience, for the audience,
this is where
for
we
the
try to
audience, for the
understand.
audience.
Okay,
Okay.
Tribe,
is that
tribe for the audience. Tribe is basically discouraged from hearing a lot of ologies. I'm sorry that hearing about a lot of
that's
disciplines that go
actually what
into
I
the
was looking
interpretations. I'm
for,
sorry
bro.
that that discourages you.
Listen,
I'm sorry that that intimidates you.
okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry that that intimidates you.
that's
That's not
actually
our
what I
problem,
was
though. That's
looking
not our
for.
fault. But that's not our fault, though, that that intimidates you.
Okay, well, that's actually what I was looking for. So now it
Okay.
plays into my favor. If you guys listen, you guys will understand. Okay? Now, there's a lot of ologies there you're using. And so sometimes some of them ologies conflict with each other. So how
That's the
do you
thing. They
wait,
don't
wait,
in
wait,
this
wait, wait,
case.
wait, 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 wait.
They support each other.
Okay, okay,
That's
here
the
we go.
problem.
Here we go. Now, sometimes different scientific methods, sometimes they conflict each other. Okay? This is normal in real science. Okay? Not the movie and not the book science. Sometimes different science conflict with each other. Sometimes one science says this and one science says that. So I want to know with all these fancy sciences that you guys have, how do you determine the actual factor when the sciences conflict? How do you do
That
that?
actually is a great point. That's a great point.
I know it
That's a
is.
great point.
If you would listen,
And
you will
yeah,
learn.
and let me give a great example to your point, tribe. Let me give a great example to your point. Back in the 1800s, right? Back when we did not have DNA, right? When we didn't know, when we didn't even know what DNA was, right? When we could not extract it from a specimen, and when we could not do PCR on it and run it through gel electrophoresis and
No,
all
hold
these
up,
other.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. No, I'm just bullshitting. I'm
Yeah.
just bullshitting. That's
Okay.
not what's
Okay.
happening.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So back in the 1800s, right? A lot of the only resources, unfortunately, that you had at your disposal, right? As a scientist, unfortunately, was lookership, right? So, so if, for example, if Doctor Wutenow, who Ivan Van Sertima used him as a reference multiple times in his "They Came Before Columbus" book, right? Uh, in the 1800s, if you're Mr. Wutenow and you don't have any DNA or you don't have any other type of resources at your disposal, if you look at a statue and that statue looks quote unquote negroid to you, right? Or even more specific, if you see something on the statue or the statuette that you interpret as being Egyptian, right? This guy would tell the entire scientific community of that time period, hey, guess what? Egyptians were here because look at this. It looks like an Egyptian headdress. And, or look at this. This looks like a Phoenician artifact. Or look at this. It looks like this is Ethiopian or whatever you feel like saying. That literally was a thing. They used to do that a lot, and you had all sorts of archaeologists, anthropologists from different places around the U.S. and Mexico and etc. And they all did this. This was common practice to just look at artifacts and it looks like it looks like a duck. It must be a duck, right? So that was before uh, other standards of evidence that we have nowadays that they didn't have back then, unfortunately. So when we see a skeleton that looks Negroid, right, like Naia or Lucia, or how about this? When you find a skeleton that looks Caucasoid, like Kennewick Man from Washington, right? And you want to say, therefore, Kennewick Man must have been a European, and that's what people have said. And they look at Naya and they say, therefore, Naya must have been Australasian or African or what have you, right? Well, thanks to the magic of DNA that we have nowadays, we can extract her DNA and actually see if Kennewick Man was in fact European or if Naya was in fact Australoid or whatnot. And unfortunately, for the people who propose alternative identity theories, that's not what her genetics say. Her genetics say she links up with modern Native American populations, classic, quote unquote, classic Mongoloids, and so does Kennewick Man. He matches the people who are in and around that region of Washington, despite him looking Caucasian, right? So that is how we are able to hierarchically differentiate between different standards of evidence. I'm not gonna put linguistics or especially if it's like poor linguistics like Clyde Winters does or Leo Weiner does. I'm not gonna put lookership, skull structure. I'm not gonna put that over. I'm not gonna put that above genetics or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's different standards of evidence, and there's a hierarchy to those standards of evidence.
Okay, so thank you for the story. I still don't feel like you satisfied my
Let me
thirst,
let me read this
but
for you real
you
quick.
did give an answer.
Let me
Um,
read this for you real quick. It says, Polestorm said that Asia contained humans with generalized cranial morphology between 20,000 and 12,000 before present. This generalized type disappeared and a new type emerged. This new type had a flatter face with more pronounced cheekbones, a more rounded head, reduced sexual dimorphism, a reduction of superstructures such as supraorbital region and increased retention of juvenile characters. Storm said that this new type of skull that emerged is called the Proto-Sunda or Proto-Mongoloid type, and it is distinguished from the Sunda Mongoloid type by being more robust. Paul Storm said uh, that the Mongoloid or Asian type of skull developed relatively fast during the population bottleneck in Asia, and that happened during the late Pliocene or early Holocene through a microevolutionary trend that evolved a continuation of neoteny and gracilization trends. Due to different courses of evolution, Storm said that these two types of skulls, the Sunda Mongoloid type and the Sahu Australoid type, are now clearly recognizable in the present time. So this generalized skull structure, the populations separated, became isolated from each other. One became your classic Australoid type. The other went from Proto-Mongoloid into Neo-Mongoloid. So
okay,
when we see these, another name for Proto-Mongoloid is Paleo-American.
okay.
So when we
Now,
see these Paleo-American types, it's because they are transitioning from that Australoid type into, or generalized actually, into your classic Mongoloid.
okay. So now we understand. Hey, Black Lotus, you had to say something.
Okay, is there any empirical data to that information? Is
Yes,
there?
there's plenty of studies. Here's another one. There's several independent uh, scientists and independent studies that all converge at the same conclusion. Um, Here's another one. The Paleo Indian has proto-Mongoloid morphology, such as pronounced development of suborbital ridges, low frontals, marked post-orbital constriction, prominent and protruding occipital, small mastoids, long crania, and a relatively narrow bismugatic breath. Dr. Martha Lair of the Department of Biological Anthropology at Cambridge University says there are two hypotheses on the origin of Mongoloids. Lair said that one hypothesis that Mongoloids originated in North Asia due to the regional continuity in this region, and this population conforming to the best of the standard of Mongoloid features. Lara said that the other hypothesis that Mongoloids originate from Southeast Asian populations that expanded from Africa to Southeast Asia during the first half of the Upper Pliocene, then traveled to Austromelanesia and East Asia. Lara
Okay.
said that the morphology of the Paleo-Indian is consistent with Proto-Mongoloid definition. Uh,
Okay. Now, just for the record, what I'm saying, we do have a. I don't know his title, but I think he's some type of anthropologist or maybe some type of artist or something. That who was constructing, Lucia. We do have him, on record saying that that was a Negroid face. But now I understand that you took, the more traditional route with just reading and going along. Now, what we usually do, we use different types of methods when we read because we notice sometimes when we read stuff, it's not what it say it is, and it's not always true. So we we take a more investigative, approach, and we use what we call, what I call mathematics, which is different probabilities and possibilities, and we also use a more investigating approach. Now, can you show me how would you investigate that article right there that you just read? How would you investigate? How would you cross-reference that? What is your cross-reference method that you would use to make sure that's true? How did you do that? How did you come up with the conclusion that that's that's real? What
it
what did you do?
it would it would take an overall understanding and knowledge of the data, right? You have to understand phylogenetics. You have to understand population migrations. You have to understand skeletal morphology and cranial morphology. And then it starts to make a lot more sense once you understand these different disciplines, right? Um, so my methodology for uh, investigating this article would be to observe the data on your paleo American populations and see if it aligns with what they said. And in fact, it does. There's been even Walter Neves, who you just mentioned about Lucia. Walter Neves also placed the modern day Ayamora or Botokuro in the same category as Lucia. And guess what? They don't look like Wesley Snipes or Michael Jordan. They look like regular Native Americans. They have the straight hair. They have slightly different skull structure, but their outward appearance, you wouldn't mistake them for African American. And Walter Neves, the same scientist who classified Lucia, placed the Ayamor and the Botokuro in the same category as Paleo Indian.
Right,
Um,
Okay.
and
So
explain.
so so
Hold
basically
on,
we
hold on,
got
Trev.
hold on. So
Let me just ask Joseph
we
real
got
quick.
another story and we didn't really get a method. I'm just talking about a method. See, you guys are not really answering my questions. You
He
guys got
just told
you
you, bro.
but
I
hold
told
on.
you,
You guys are you guys got
No, no, no,
nice
no, 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 no,
stories
bro.
and you
Hold
guys
on,
got
hold on,
some
bro. Hold on, bro. Hold
and
on,
you
bro. He
guys
told you. He literally told you, and you're saying that he didn't tell you. He told you. He
he,
okay.
told
he
you what messages he used, what
Okay.
methods he
So
used. You're
no
saying that
no
he did
no
it,
no
but he did. But he
listen
did
to
though. But he did.
the question, okay?
No, 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 no.
The
Because
question
you
was
just said that
about
he didn't
that
tell you.
he
You
did
just said that
not.
he didn't tell you that he didn't provide you a methodology that he uses to
Right. You ain't
compare and
even answer
contrast.
my last
Was
question, and I'm mad as hell. I let you get away with
I
it.
know
So
you
you
mad.
need to
I know
just
you're
chill
mad as
out.
hell. I know
So
you. You're gonna stay mad because the science
I'm
contradicts
not
you.
real
But you're gonna
mad,
stay
like
mad. I
for
mean, you're
real,
gonna
but I let you get
for real.
away
You're
when
gonna
I
stay
answer
mad though.
my
But you're gonna
questions.
stay mad though. If the scientific data hurts you, you're gonna stay mad by definition for the rest of the
Okay.
program. That's just
Well,
gonna be a fact.
okay. Well, I was just saying that you never really answered my question, so I just let you get away with it. And so you should probably just
we answered both
now
questions.
what
As a
I
matter of
was
fact, if you
asking
could
you.
wait, you could go to the Lucia
Okay, so so
article.
so so what I was asking you because we're getting a lot of stories here. And some of the stories are very effective and they're very touchy to the I'm pretty sure to the Native American
You call
community.
them stories
It
because you have
now
nothing
well,
better
but
to
can you
call them.
can
You
I
call them stories because you cannot go into that level of
Guillermo
And it's
depth.
really
Guillermo,
a case
I let both of you
of
guys talk back
projection.
to back with no interruptions.
Here,
No
y'all.
interruptions, okay? I that's on camera. Okay, with no
Right,
interruptions. Every
but then you
time I
made a
get a
false
couple
statement.
sentences out there, there's some weirdo. I ain't gonna call you no weirdo, but there's a person with the commercial in the middle of my program. Okay,
Right. If,
can we
every time
not
you make a false
have that?
statement.
Okay, now what I asked
Yeah,
you
no, like
is
just for the
reading
audience, you're
that.
gonna continue to be interrupted each and every single time you make a false statement. That's just a fact. That's gonna happen.
Okay,
If you
okay, and
continue to
so
make false
Every
statements, you're
so
gonna
single
you
get
time.
haven't
interrupted.
made any. I let you get away with not even answer my question, bro. I just said forget it. If you didn't answer it, you
Okay,
didn't answer
go
it,
ahead,
bro.
Tribe. Go
You
go ahead.
literally didn't answer my shit, and you know it. But it's cool. You know what I'm
What
saying?
didn't I?
But here
What
we
didn't
go.
I answer?
But
What
but
didn't I
but
answer?
but, but here we go. Here we go. Now, okay, now like I said, okay, the question was reading that article. Okay, he started going into craniology. You went to craniology to
Craniometry,
or whatever.
craniometry,
Okay, just
Tribe.
to
Craniometry, not
just to read
craniology.
just to read that article, bro. I'm talking about investigating that article, just the
It's not
article.
our fault that you cannot
But,
comprehend the
but
words that are coming out of his mouth. It's not our fault that you
okay,
cannot go into that level of
Right.
depth
here
for
we go.
understanding. That's
Okay,
not our
The
fault, bro.
methodology is to
now,
look at the same data they are looking
hold
Why
on.
do you think,
and see if it
Tribe,
makes sense based on the data.
So
why
who
do you
is
think
they?
Lotus, Tribe, why do you think Lotus is staying very humble out there?
Okay,
Because he knows that you're
can
not up to par with us, bro.
can I
You're
can I
not
s-
up to par with us.
can I speak? Can I speak up to par
Go
person?
ahead, go ahead.
Can I
No,
speak?
no,
Can I?
wait, hold on, let me read this right quick.
Why come the lowest person never gets to speak? Why come the less educated
Go
never get to
ahead,
speak?
Tribe, go ahead,
Why
go ahead.
is
No,
that?
no, 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 let me read this
You would
because
think the more educated
it's
will
from the
allow him to
Lucia
make a fool of
article
himself, don't you
itself.
think? You see what I'm saying? You allow the educated should say, let's let him talk and make a fool of himself. That's what would be an educated decision. But you guys choose to go
Hold on,
Then
Joseph.
why are
commercial.
you
Let him
cutting
Here
us
we
talk.
go.
off?
Let him
Another
talk, Joseph.
commercial. Another
Let him talk,
commercial.
Joseph, and then you can talk.
Look, bro.
I
We're
won't
not
even
gonna
say it.
look. We're not gonna be able
Okay.
to do this. Is if I ain't gonna be able to do this if
Yeah, go
you
ahead,
know what I'm
Tribe. Go
saying.
ahead.
If I can't talk, not for real. I need to be able to talk. Or in order to make my point. You know what I'm saying.
All right.
Now I was asking you, with reading the article, just investigating the article, what you're reading. Okay, not a scientist methodology or anything scientific. Just reading the article. Now, when you say the word they, okay, who are you talking about? What is how you gonna say? Oh well, I'm using they in this. Like, can you actually let us know the actual method on how you investigated it? That what you read. Show us
Uh,
exactly what happened. Did you cross reference it to what article? Put it in the back chat. I cross reference it with this. Put it in the back chat.
oh, okay.
I seen the video from this. Put it in the back chat. So how did you? That's what I'm trying to ask you. Like we went way over to Walter's Neves and all this other stuff. Like, can you just
Yeah,
answer the
yeah.
question, bro? Like,
I explained to you exactly how. By examining the data that is put out by the studies and seeing if it aligns with what the conclusion is.
okay,
Right.
what studies? What studies? Okay,
All right. I'll put one in the back chat for
right.
you.
What's the study? What's the study you use? So you basically cross reference it with another study, right? So
With
another
Yeah,
article.
and the
So
citations of the
was it
authors. The
another
citations
article?
of the
Is it
authors.
another article that you cross reference it with?
wait. Cross reference it with all the plethora of data, with
But
all
is
the
all the
studies.
plethora of that is articles? They're all articles?
Oh, bro,
Scientific
Yes or no?
scientific
It's a
studies.
yes or no question.
scientific articles. Are you gonna pretend that you wouldn't reference articles? Are you delusional right now? You just
So
wanted to bring up Naia. You just wanted to bring up the article on Naia.
okay,
How you
now
now
this
all
is
of a
my
sudden
point.
it's a
Now this is
problem for
all I
us
wanted you
using
to say.
scientific articles. Now it's
Now
a problem for us using scientific articles.
okay.
This is
So you using
hilarious,
scientific articles,
hilarious, bro,
but listen,
hilarious.
you're using scientific articles to cross reference with
Scientific,
scientific
not
articles.
scientific.
So you're using the same shit to cross reference with the same shit to cross. Man, this shit is ridiculous, bro. But
So
let's. But
Travis mad, just for the audience,
that's
Travis mad because we're using science to do
man.
more
Now,
science.
now let's go to some
Travis mad
science.
because we're
Now,
using science to do
no,
more
no, we
science.
finna go
In
into some
other words,
science.
it's too deep for you, bro. That you're intimidated.
No,
You're
well, we
just
finna go
admit that you're
into we
intimidated.
finna go
If
into
the
some.
science is too hard for you, bro, if the science is too hard for you, give up.
Okay,
Don't try to debate
we
us.
finna
Give
go
Here,
into
up.
some scientists right now. This is where I want to take you, but I just want to get an understanding of how how your brain works a little bit, and I got that. So I'm finna stretch your motherfucking mind now for a couple minutes,
All right,
okay? Do
I
you
put
mind?
one in the
Right,
I put one
you?
in the back chat for
I
you.
need you to sign an agreement. It's in the back chat that you won't commit suicide in the morning, bro. Okay?
Okay,
All right?
okay.
You deal? All right.
This
No.
is
Now,
hilarious.
now here we go. So it seems like I noticed I heard you guys talk, you guys standing on DNA. DNA is usually at the end and at the butt of every one of your conversations. When I ask you a question, it's this DNA. When I ask him a question, it's this DNA. So it seemed like you guys are writing very heavily on DNA. So now it's time to take DNA. Let's go through DNA. How about we do that? Fair?
Uh,
Yeah, but we're
Okay.
also basing
after
it
wait
off
wait
of skull
Okay, so if
structure.
anybody want to go in
after I
before
read
I break this down, go
wait,
right
wait, wait.
ahead. Go right ahead.
After I read this real quick. Our morphometric analysis suggests that these ancient samples are not true relics of a distinct migration as claimed, and hence do not support the Paleo-American model, which is a dead model, and that's what y'all are promoting. That there was one population and then another population came in and replaced it, right? That's the Paleo-American model. Similarly, so morphometric, that is based on the craniometry, right? And then it says our morphometric analysis suggests that these ancient samples do not uh, are not true relics of a distinct migration as claimed, and hence do not support the Paleo-American model. Similarly, our genomic data also provide no support for an early migration of populations directly related to Austro-Melanesians into the Americas. And that is an updated study directly testing the hypothesis you guys are coming with, is directly testing the Paleo-American hypothesis, and it comes out as a negative. It does not support. The morphometric analysis does not support it, and neither does the genomic analysis. So both in that case. But continue.
Anybody? Okay.
I
So
got
now,
another. I got another one I
so
can read on the
so
on
so
the.
so
I
so
got another
now
one.
so now we're going into my world. Okay,
Yeah.
because when you're talking DNA, you're talking computing. Okay, you're talking software. You're talking probability. You're talking ones and twos. Do we understand this, Mister Paleontologist, Cardiologist? Now you're coming in. Welcome to my world. Now, okay. Now
He's so corny, bro. He's so
you like
corny.
that. You like that. Dog. I'm gonna give you my
He's
autograph when
corny
I'm
as
done. All right.
hell.
I'm gonna send you a hat with my autograph on it. All right. Here we go.
Supreme mathematics.
Here we
Supreme
go.
mathematics.
Now, so now I'm guessing you guys
That's
know.
right.
Now
That's
I
right.
now I know you guys
That's
know
right.
that how many. I'm guessing you guys know how many different sequences. First, let's just break down sequences first. Now, sequences is something that basically like if you take some dice, you can probably hit seven, like three different sequences. You see what I'm saying? So you can hit
Sequence
it.
means a order.
You see what I'm
What?
saying? So you can.
One, two, three, four, five. That's a sequence.
That's a
Okay,
sequence.
okay. Now that's their sequence. Now mine's a more higher intelligence. I deal with numbers. Okay, that's theirs in their department. Now in my department, okay, where I what we do, it's basically combinations. Okay, it's different combinations. Okay, different sequences. So you can have whatever combinations you want, different probabilities. Now you guys know how many different sequences they say we have, correct?
What do you mean by that? Like how many protein coding genes
How many
or
different sequences, okay,
uh
they
huh,
say we have?
uh huh.
How many possibilities?
If you're talking about protein coding genes, there's about 20,000 for each
No,
person.
I'm talking all of them.
Well,
DNA. We're
mhm.
talking DNA, not some other
Oh
shit.
shit,
How many? How
you
many
have
different sequences?
you have I would say more than a million or something like that, because a lot of them
About
don't code for
200, about
protein.
damn near 200 million, 200 billion. It's through the roof. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Now, do you know what they used to determine that?
what they use to determine what
How
how
many
many.
different sequences do you have? Do you know the software that they used?
Yeah,
What's the name of the software that they used to
they
determine?
used to use. they used to do Sagner sequencing. That's the type of sequencing that they used to sequence the human genome during the Human Genome Project era. But then they have next gen sequencing. They have all different Illumina. They have Illumina. They have all different types of
Okay,
sequencers nowadays.
now, what you're talking about, you're not talking about the type of sequencing I'm talking about. You're talking
That's
about
because you
actual.
don't even know what DNA sequencing
Sequencing
is,
is,
Tribe.
Okay,
You
and we
don't
okay,
can
know.
let
You
me
tell
don't
let
even
me
just
know
by
what
let
how
me
you're
it is,
talking.
Tribe. You
Okay,
don't
so
even. You're talking
By
out of
how
your
you're
ass,
talking, you don't
bro.
have any
what you
idea
now
what the
now
sequence
now what
is.
you just
You
mentioned,
don't even
what.
know what the fuck
Okay,
it is. You
let
don't
me
even know what it is, Tribe.
okay, now
Just
what
admit.
you, no, now what you just mentioned, okay,
Uh huh.
you
Uh huh.
mentioned some little methods and some little programs used to abstract and detect some sequences. I didn't,
It, it,
that wasn't, wait, slow down, that wasn't my question. My question is what software that they use to determine that we have 2 million to 2 billion different sequences. Not a software that has a ability or a probability to find some sequences. Okay?
that
There's a
question makes
difference.
no sense.
There's a different level. Okay? Now let me break this down for you. Now some software, actually most software use about 33 different sequences. If you go to a higher number of level of software, a lot of them use about 60 to 80 different sequences. And in order to get 200 billion different goddamn sequences, what were they using?
The Sanger sequencing method. That's what they were using.
What software you're talking about, bro?
Sanger sequencing doesn't have a software, you dumbass.
Oh, okay. So
You
so
don't know.
so
That's what I'm
You
saying. You
don't
don't
know
know
what
what
you're
you're
talking
talking
about,
oh
tribe.
about.
my god.
You don't know what
So
you're
so
talking about,
listen,
Tribe.
bro.
You're making
Listen,
shit up. You're
listen
making
to
shit up. You're
listen
pulling
to
it
what
out
I'm
of your
You
ass.
listen
you
to what I'm
studied the
saying.
shit to think you got some gotcha question, but
No,
you
no, no,
still
no, no,
don't
no, no. It's
understand. You
already
still don't
it's
understand
already
what
been
DNA
done because he
sequencing
shouldn't have
is.
said that. He shouldn't have
It's
said
not
that
like
answer. You
it's not
should
like they're implanting the sequence
you
into
shouldn't have
you.
said that answer. See, because I asked you a simple question. I didn't ask you a methodology. Okay? So
Hmm.
this goes to show you don't know what I'm talking about. You're not that smart, bro. Okay? You might be you have to understand, humble your goddamn self, man.
Right.
Okay? We all have to
They
do
they
that
upload
sometimes.
they
Okay?
upload they upload they upload.
Now,
I'll say this. They
like
upload
I
the
say,
data. They
like
upload the data. They upload the data to
now,
NCBI Blast. If
okay.
that's your point,
Now,
to NCBI Blast.
this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Now, like I said, the average DNA software. Okay, we have 200 billions. We have billions different sequences. The average software only use 33 of them. Okay, so they don't even it
Hmm.
don't even stretch that far. The average computer, who knows the
Hmm.
capability of it. Okay, now I'm asking you a simple question, but it's not going to get answered. So we're gonna come up with some laughs and some jokes. So we're gonna move on. So obviously
No, we're not
you
gonna move
don't
on
know what
from
I'm
shit
talking
because you
about.
don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How you gonna want to move on now? How you gonna want
Because
to
you
move
don't know
on
what I'm
when you
talking
brought that
about,
shit up?
bro.
Because you're scared, Tribe. Because you're scared. Humble yourself. Humble yourself, bro. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. You don't know what
Okay,
the fuck.
okay,
Why do you think Lotus ain't saying shit? Why do you think Lotus ain't saying shit? Because he knows that you're fucking stupid, bro.
okay.
You're
Did
you're dumb as fuck.
I
Say
just tell
what?
you?
Okay,
Did I just
listen
tell
to me,
you
Charles. Hold on.
the
Let me talk.
average
You know why?
DNA software uses
Using Sanger
33
sequencing,
sequences?
using
Okay.
Sanger sequencing is because it's such a slow method. That's the reason why it took more than a decade trying to sequence the human genome. That's why.
Oh,
Because yes, I agree that it's slow, it's outdated. That's why we don't use it anymore. We use next gen sequencing now, or we use Illumina, or we use the
okay.
nanopore by Oxford
That's not
University.
software, bro. I'm talking something specific, and you're
They
not even answering the
upload.
question.
Yeah,
You're
it is
Specific,
going
stuff.
out
not
some shit.
Okay,
Pacific.
You're
Pacific
okay,
is
going
the
out some
okay.
ocean.
shit, thinking
The
you're
new do
sounding
you even know
smart.
what do you even know what nanopore? You don't even know what these things are,
Okay,
Tribe. You don't even
but
know
you
how
know
they
what I
work.
do know? I know
But
computers. You
okay,
idiots.
but if you don't know what these things are, how are you gonna say that they have no
Because
software? They
I know
upload
the
the data,
limitations. I know computers. Idiot. I'm
and
above you. I make your computers, you idiot. I'm
that's
smarter
why
than
they took
you.
and that's why they took more than a decade to sequence the entire human genome. That's why
So
it took them
so
more than
so
a
so
decade.
so
But
this
they
is
did
what's
it.
going on
But
here.
they
We
did
got
it.
these
But
guys.
they eventually did it, tribe. But they did it. But they did it.
Okay,
And you know
so
what?
you
And
have
they
these
upload
guys.
the
They
information.
believe that
And
they're
they upload the information. And they upload the information to the website called NCBI Blast. Everybody in the audience, go on Google and type in
no, you
ncbi.com.
don't.
That
No,
is
you
where they
don't.
upload
Don't type
the
that shit
human
in.
genome.
No, you're not that powerful. We'll never type that shit in. But what I am saying, okay, all the stuff that you're talking about, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I do
I
know
know
computers.
exactly. We
Okay?
told you this.
But
We know that you
listen,
don't know what I'm
but we
talking
know
about.
what I do
That's
know. I know
that's apparent.
computers. Okay? So I am above you. I make your computers, bro. Okay? So you can't be a scientist without me. Okay? So you're talking to your boss. Humble yourself, bro. Okay?
Because you
Chill
build a
out.
fucking computer off of eBay that it has
Chill
nothing to
out.
do with our
Now I
ability
just told
to
you.
sequence DNA.
Listen to
My
what
father was a computer scientist. That was
listen
his profession,
listen to what
and
I'm
that don't
listen
mean
to
he
what
knows
I'm
shit about science or
listen.
anthropology or anything else.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying to you guys. Okay, the average software. Okay, that's that's 2plus2.com. That's AfricanAmericanDNA.com, and that's a list of them. They can only get 33 sequences. Okay,
Wait, so
that's it.
wait. You're talking about these ethnicity sites. You're not
I'm
talking
talking.
about that. You're not talking about actual scientific labs. You're talking
Okay.
about like
Okay.
these ethnicity
They
websites.
listen. Actually, they do have scientific labs, and some of them rent scientific labs. Some of them send their DNA to scientific labs. You understand that, right? So they're not. Many of them are not there in the lab
Right,
themselves.
but
Okay,
their
they're
database is
sending
still
it.
their wait.
Okay,
Their
so you
database is
have to.
still their
This what I'm
database.
saying. These dudes
23andMe's
ain't on my
database is
level,
still
bro. This
23andMe's
is
database.
cake work
Ancestry is
for
still
me, man.
Ancestry
Like
database.
I can't even get to the next point yet. Like I got so much shit, man.
Go,
This is
go
gonna be
ahead,
a
Tribe.
long
Go
night
ahead.
for you guys. Like where do we start at? Where do we stop at? Okay, because I can't even get past the 33 sequences that these guys are counting on. Okay,
Okay,
out of
Tribe.
2 billion and shit, and they're riding on it like, yeah, it's the truth. Like, bro, we talking possibility on the possibility on the possibility. Like, come on, bro. Now I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, and I'm trying to ask you a question. Now, it's obviously you don't know, so I'm not going to get disrespectful. I'm not going to try to make you clown you, make you seem like I'm such a superior some shit because I have my lane. Okay, I go outside my lane. You can drown me. Okay, but now you guys are in my lane. I do the drowning here. Okay, and so
He's so corny, bro.
I'm gonna give you
If
my
you think
autograph.
so,
I'm gonna give you my autograph in
I'm
a
sure
second.
you think so, Tribe. What you're saying right now makes no sense
Okay, now
at all in the
listen,
first
listen,
place.
listen. Okay, so what I'm trying to ask you, okay, because I know some of the sequences that I know some of the software that they use. You know what I'm saying? You can get this shit developed in China
Right.
for like $12,000. You know what I'm saying? We can get our own DNA lab. It's like four different computers and all this other shit. Like, so don't hit me with that. But anyway, I'm
Right,
just saying
but you're
is that
acting like they insert the sequences into whatever they're
okay.
testing.
So
That's not
so
how it
this this
works.
this is what I'm asking you guys. I'm asking you what software did they use? That's all. To figure out that we got to figure out there's 200 billion or something. Did they actually look at these or these either are they guessing?
Thank you for asking, Tribe, and humbling yourself. Actually, humble yourself and ask how do they actually do it, okay? Because the sequences, in terms of genetics, means the nucleotide base pairs. That's what it actually means. When we talk about a sequence in genetics, you're literally talking about the phosphodiester bond next to the sugar next to the nitrogenous base. That's what makes up a
He's talking
nucleotide.
about combinations.
That's the actual sequence in genetics,
We're
okay?
talking
And
different
the way it
combinations.
works, yes, and the way it works is they run it through a gel electrophoresis box. Okay, that's what it's
Really?
called.
Really?
Okay,
What's the
yeah.
name of it? It's the one I forgot his name, but it started with a D. Is it that one? Made in China? That one?
What?
That one?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Tribe.
Okay, I know you
Anyway, they
don't. I
run
know
it
you
through
don't.
a
I
gel
know you don't.
electrophoresis box, right? And at the
Hmm.
end of the box, it has certain lasers, and
Right.
those lasers can detect when a piece of DNA is going through it. So it acts as a detector, and is able to tell you whether the base was guanine or whether it was twenine or arginine or the any of the four bases that make the nucleic acids, right?
Okay. Now.
And when depending, they do one strain, right, and off of the letter from one strain they are able to know the letter on the other strain, because the T's can only match to A's and the C's can only match to G's. There is no other possibility to mix them up. So at the end of the day, they're sequencing each nucleotide one by one by one by one by one until
Only
they have a full
33.
picture of your genome. That's how
Only
it
And re-
happens,
only
Tribe.
only 33.
and regardless of what you're saying, if they test for these 33 sequences and you don't carry them, that's not your population.
Okay, well this is where we have a problem at. Okay? Because when you're building this software, okay, for these people, you're getting instructions. Okay? You understand that, right? Do we understand that? That there are instructions in the computer. So what he just explained, and he just explained, and thank you for that. There was very sophisticated of you,
So
right?
we're
You,
back to
I'll give you a
conspiracy
T-shirt
theories.
or some shit later. All right.
We're,
Now
we're, we're
here we
back we're
go.
back to a conspiracy theory. So now you're
No,
saying
no,
they
no. We're
they set the
talking
program
actually
up
real.
to say
No,
something
no,
other than
no,
what it
no.
is.
We're talking real technology. We're not talking
Right, he's saying that
conspiracy.
the software is fucked up. That
No,
the
I'm not.
software is
Right.
No,
fucked up.
that's
And
not what.
they set the
No,
program to
Come
say
on,
whatever they
bro.
wanted to
no,
say. A
that's not.
conspiracy theory.
No, that's not where we're going here. Okay,
Okay.
if you actually listen first,
No,
you're not
he's
that
just gonna say that
smart,
it's not
man.
good enough, bro. He's not saying that they misrepresent the data. He's just gonna say that the software's not good enough
Okay,
to
okay,
tell
yeah,
us.
that, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah.
if he
These
doesn't
guys are
carry
so
those
smart.
33 sequences, if
Yeah.
none of the other populations carry
Yeah.
these sequences, and then this population does carry those sequences, obviously my sample matches this population.
Okay, now
So
you
what he's
see.
saying is like irrelevant.
Okay, now you see their understanding.
No.
You see they have like a cartoon type understanding to have this work.
Yeah.
Now
Hey,
they know a
Todd,
lot of.
Todd, let
You
me
see
say
that?
something
You
real
see
quick.
that shit? Now,
Todd,
now
Todd, let
they
me say
got a
something
lot
real
of.
quick.
They got a lot of
Hey,
cartoon facts and a lot of little foreign fun facts you get in the fortune cookie and shit. You know what I'm saying? But ain't no real concrete shit. Would you let the concrete motherfuckers talk? Okay? Don't nobody need no fun facts on all that fortune cookie shit, bro.
Tribe,
We going in.
what
Go
about
ahead,
the
Lotus. Go ahead,
tell us,
Lotus.
Tribe? What about the software is fucked up? What about the software
I
is
just.
fucked up that we
I'm
got
not.
it
that's what
I'm
wrong?
he's
not. I'm not.
saying.
I'm
The
not
data put
saying
in the
that.
software is fucked. I mean,
I'm not.
excuse my
I'm
language.
not even saying
It's
that.
not.
I'm not
It's
even.
yeah.
Look,
I'm not even saying
the
that.
the data
Okay.
could be the software could be set up however.
Okay.
If I can
Now
match
here we
this
go.
sample
He's
to
there.
myself, I'm part of that population. If I can't, I'm not part of that
Okay. Now
population.
that's your understanding, correct? That's your understanding of it, right?
That
That's what
Now,
it
that's
is.
that's a
your
fact.
understanding.
Like
Okay. Your.
what a coincidence. Okay, let's say the software was fucked
Here
up and
we.
that they
I'm not
they interpret
saying
it
the
to.
software
That's
was fucked
uh.
up, you guys.
Okay, so if
I'm
you're not
not
saying that the
saying
yeah,
that.
okay, so
Okay.
let me be very
If I
specific.
can
So
finish with no commercial.
let me be very specific here. So when the nucleotide passes through the detector, right, and it inputs in the computer that it is such and such sequence of the nucleotide, you're saying that computer is not fucked up, right? You're saying it's correct, so it's going to interpret the data correctly, right? So if that's what
I
you're
didn't
saying,
say
because you're
that
saying it's
either.
not fucked up,
You
because you're
guys
saying
are
it's not
putting.
fucked up, because you're saying it's not fucked up. So if you're saying it is interpreting that sequence of nucleotides that's going through the gel electrophoresis
Then
box,
what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Okay.
right? So if
Now.
Because
it
they are
because
matching a sample to a sample. They are
right.
matching her
So
DNA
if the
to this
sequence,
sample.
so if the software is interpreting the sequence correctly, what a coincidence that that sequence happens to match the people who anthropologists and archaeologists are saying will match those skeletons. So they're saying modern Native Americans should match the skeletons. They run the sample of Naia. They grab the DNA of Naia and they sequence it. And whoop, what a coincidence! It matches. Now this is the part where you say, probability. That's just probability, bro. That's just
Right. And
probability.
Now
back
here,
to
now here we
conspiracy
go with
theory.
the here we go with the conspiracy theories. Now you guys using conspiracy theories
You're
because you
saying that. We're
because
not
but let
saying
me
that there's a
finish.
conspiracy.
Let
You're
me
saying it's just probability, bro. It's just
if I can
probability.
finish.
Yeah, it's a probability. It's a high probability. God damn
Right.
it.
And
It's
Okay,
what's the probability those populations match you?
okay.
Show us the data. Show us
If
wait,
you
wait,
would
show us the data that shows the probability that
oh
Naya sample matches you.
okay, if you would let me talk, we can
Okay, go
probably
ahead,
get
Tribe.
that far.
I want to hear this.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Now
Tribe.
what you guys are conspiracy theories because you're using a lot of they
What are
all
you
this
talking? I didn't
open
use
in
they.
can
I
I
didn't use
talk
they
or
in my
not?
last question. What
Okay,
the fuck?
okay, go
We
ahead.
can use specific names: Brian Kemp, Paul Storm.
Throw them
Uh,
away.
Get
huh?
him, Lotus. Get him. One, get him.
Throw them all away.
Get him.
Now,
Get him,
my
Lotus.
argument is
Don't
different.
do it on this channel, bro.
Yeah, I
Get
know.
what? Get what all the way? What?
I said throw them all away. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then
You gotta
does he
say
care?
what
Why does he
you
care if we mention specifics? Then, if you're just gonna throw them
Okay,
away,
because
look,
you're
fucking
saying
sense.
Why?
they. You're
Why
saying
did he
they,
care?
and
Why
then
did
now
he
you just
care? Why did he care? Why did he care to bring up Naya's article? Pull Naya's article up. Why did he care about that?
okay.
They're just gonna throw
Now
him
this
all away.
earlier.
now so this is
Yeah,
now
throw them
this
away.
goes all the way back to the beginning, you guys. We're gonna forget it. They're not gonna let me break down the software. They're not gonna let me do it. Sorry, I'm gonna
Go
do it on
ahead,
another
break it
day.
down.
They're not
You
gonna
said it's
let me
not
do
fucked
it.
up,
I'm
so I
not
want to
here
hear
for
what you're
that
arguing.
long, and these guys don't want to hear. They don't want to get this knowledge. I'm actually trying to teach them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because they
Okay.
work in
Continue.
another field, and if you're smart in your field, that's good. But you can't know every goddamn thing. So I don't either. You know what I'm saying? But what I do know, I'm trying
Then
to
humble yourself.
I'm
Humble
actually
yourself.
trying to
Clearly, you don't
teach it,
know
and they're not gonna
genetics.
let me.
Clearly, you don't
So
know
what we're gonna
genetics.
do, we're gonna move on. Okay, I'll break that down another time. Sorry. So what
Yeah,
we're gonna
give
do
Lotus.
now is
Why don't you give Lotus a chance to talk? He hasn't said shit. I want to know what Lotus thinks about you.
oh yeah. So you don't want me to talk.
Go ahead, Lotus.
So you
Go
know
ahead,
what?
Lotus.
I'm gonna be
Pick up the
quiet
slack
and
for your buddy, Lotus. Pick
I'm
up the
gonna be the
slack.
nice
Pick
guy
up
and
the
I'm gonna
slack.
be quiet
Pick
and
up the slack.
I'm gonna let Lotus talk because in the beginning he clearly states that they don't have a full DNA of Naya. He said that in the beginning. He said they have some little percentage of Naya. They don't have the whole thing. So this is why George Lopez is do this and this is why. But he just sit there and explained the whole goddamn process in the process. But yet they got a different conclusion. They got a different answer. Man, this shit is bogus, bro. Like, come on, man. What the fuck is
He's
y'all dealing with, bro?
he's mad at science, Joseph. He's mad at science because he
Meltdown.
can't understand
You
it.
see what I'm saying? Like,
It's
Meltdown.
full meltdown, bro.
okay,
You
This
now,
have
shit sucks, bro.
Naya's
This shit is too
mitochondrial
hard.
DNA.
yeah,
This
this
shit
shit.
is too hard. Fuck science. Fuck science. This shit is too
we
hard.
we have Naya's mitochondrial DNA.
Okay,
Period.
so
It doesn't match you. Does it match African Americans? No. Does it match modern Native Americans? Yes.
Yep.
okay.
Period.
It is
Okay,
what it is. I'm
now
sorry.
that's why
Man, no, it
Chinese
don't.
scientists say something different
Yeah, it
about
is.
Naya, don't they?
No, it
Huh?
doesn't, man.
Huh?
What?
Huh?
This is
Huh?
it's a
Look,
Huh?
Wait,
statement
what'd
now.
you
Have you
say?
been
It
exposed?
goes
Wait,
there.
wait, wait.
It
Why
goes
come
there.
Chinese
Repeat
scientists?
the question.
Why come
You
Chinese
made the
scientists say
statement
something
earlier.
different? Why come Chinese scientists say something different than the
Exactly.
scientists you guys have? Why is this? Why is it different in China? Huh? Can
They're
you
not
guys
saying
explain that?
anything different about Naya, you dumbass.
Huh? Why
What
is
the
it
fuck are they
different?
saying
Why
different
is
about
China?
Naya?
Why is
Yes,
DNA
they
results?
are.
Her DNA results different over there, and they're
It's
different
not
over here.
matching them.
Why
They're
is
not.
that? Can you
They're
explain
not.
that to me?
They're not. Post the data. They're not.
But
Oh,
the
see, here
demarker
we
is
go.
Asia.
Here
The
we go.
demarker is nothing but Asia. It's not
Yep,
matching them.
yep.
You're
It does
stupid.
not.
You don't even know.
So, so
Okay.
explain this to me. So
Hold
can
on,
you?
tribe. You need to shut the fuck up and let
Ex,
Lotus talk. Let
ex,
Lotus talk.
explain this to me first.
Let Lotus talk.
Well, hold on.
Let Lotus talk, tribe.
Wait.
Tribe, let
We finna
Lotus
get to the
talk. Let
bombshell.
Lotus talk. Let Lotus
Okay.
talk. Since you feel so confident, you feel jumpy,
Okay.
Lotus.
So they
Please
don't let me
explain to the
talk.
audience. Please explain to the audience
Oh my
how
god.
different haplogroups are produced
Oh
from
my
one
god.
another. Please explain to the audience how haplogroups are produced, Lotus. Explain to the
Well,
audience.
I mean, you're asking me to present something that's not what I'm about to talk about. The audience knows that scientific nonsense that
You said the Chinese. You said haplogroup
let me
D is Asian only. You said
only
haplogroup D is Asian
only
only. You don't even know Lotus, you don't even know how haplogroups are produced for you to
All,
even say that. You don't
all
even know how they are
in
produced.
human
All Native American haplogroups were produced in isolation, and they are separate from their Asian parent groups. They're unique to
I
the
agree.
Native
How many
Americans.
have?
I
Okay,
agree.
okay.
I
Now
agree.
this
And
is
y'all did
something.
not live here before 1988. So I agree. You're absolutely right. But
Then why do we have Naia at 13,000 years matching Native Americans? Explain.
Because you guys match some of our DNA and
No, shut
Naya
the fuck
matches
up,
some
tribe.
of
Let
our
Lotus talk. Let
DNA.
Lotus
That's
talk. Shut
why.
up, tribe. You
Okay.
spoke enough. Let Lotus talk.
Now, when
nah,
you look at the article, of Naya, when you look on the other side of the planet, it's a different story with her DNA. But don't nobody want to address this part. See,
Post it. Post where it
so
says she's
No,
anything but
so
D1
you don't
there is.
know
haplogroup.
about it. So you don't know
I
about it.
found a. I found a. Yeah, I did. I did
I heard
find a
about the one in
forum.
Japan. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
heard
yeah, yeah,
heard
yeah,
about
yeah,
the
yeah,
one in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Japan.
Yes, yes. And you're talking about one lab out of how many that they sent her in for her
Right. And
sample
then
to
there's
tribe.
another one. There's another one in China. So why they're all different? Can you explain that?
They're not all different, you idiot. It's one. It's one lab, you retard. One lab is saying it's haplogroup D.
Whoa, whoa,
Every
whoa, whoa,
other
whoa,
lab
whoa.
is saying it's
Okay,
D1.
so we're gonna cut
Okay?
it right. We're gonna cut it right there because the
No, hold on,
suicidal
tribe. No, hold
white
on, tribe.
boy
Hold on,
is
tribe. Hold
getting
on.
very
No, shut up,
emotional.
tribe. Shut up,
So we're
tribe.
gonna
Shut up,
kind of
tribe.
shut it
It's
right
one
there
lab, tribe.
because I
It's
don't want
one
anybody
lab, tribe.
committing
It's one
suicide
lab,
on
tribe.
my
It's
behalf.
one lab, tribe. It's one lab, tribe. Every other lab is saying it's haplogroup D1. Now, check this out. Let's say that lab is the correct one out of the all the other ones that they sent her sample to, right? Let's say
Oh,
her.
so
Let's say that lab is the correct one. It's still haplogroup D. That's not your Bantu ass. That's not you.
okay.
At all.
Do you
Can I
Re-
understand that?
can I talk?
Researchers
Do you
found
understand
12 to
Can
that?
can
13,000
Do
year
you
old
yes or
understand
teenagers.
that, tribe?
can I talk? Yes or
So,
no?
so the saltiness, or let Lotus explain this. The saltiness
Oh, not me.
behind, oh, she's not American. She was Asian. In either case, that's not you. That's
Okay.
not you.
Okay, let's move
That's
on.
the
Let's
person.
let's
Researchers
move on.
found
These
that the
guys don't want to
12 to
learn.
13,000 year old teenagers' mitochondrial DNA belongs to haplogroup D1, a category only found in the Americas these days, but which originally came from an Asian lineage. Some South American populations today have this genetic signature. 29% of indigenous people from Chile and Argentina have it. So do 11% of Native Americans, said Deborah Boning, assistant professor of anthropology at the University of Texas at Austin. So it only matches Native Americans.
Right.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
this is the same case. Hold on, let me just say this real quick. This is the
Oh,
same thing with like Anzac Child. One lab said they didn't measure the other mutations that sit on top of the Asian one, right? So they were limited to say that it was the Anzac Child was Asian haplogroup D, right? Asian haplogroup D. One lab out of like a dozen labs that said no, we see mutations on top of the Y chromosome. We see mutations on top of the D that will make it a D4HA haplogroup, right?
Right.
Okay, now check this out. So, but you're gonna take one lab that said it was ancestral D and not D4HA that everybody else said it was D4HA. You're gonna take one lab, and even if that lab is correct, that would still make Anzac Child Asian. That's not African American.
okay.
That's Asian.
Now let's slow it down. Okay, nobody's committing suicide here. Okay, right? Okay, Raul.
I hope you're not tribe. I hope you're
Okay.
not tribe because you're
Okay.
getting your ass
Now,
beat up on here.
now,
You're
now,
getting
now,
beat
now,
up on
now,
here.
just slow it down a little bit because you did get a little disrespectful. I let that slide. Okay.
It
Now,
don't
I
matter.
now
Yeah,
now I
well, I mean,
understand. Wait,
well,
wait. I
yeah,
understand. We try to have some little fun. We throw some little shots, but we all grown as men. We got kids and shit. Let's not get rude about it. Okay?
yeah.
Can
No,
we
but I
can we
don't give
can
a
we
fuck
keep it that
about that.
way?
I will get
Now,
disrespectful. I will get disrespectful. Yep.
okay. Now, see,
So go ahead.
that's gonna be a problem for me. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
Because
let it
I
be a
don't.
problem. Let it be
Cause,
a problem. That's cool. That's
cause
cool.
you said in the back chat that we wasn't about all disrespect and things like that. So
Right, but I'm not gonna stand
I'm not
here
gonna be.
while I'm not
I'm
gonna stand here while some motherfucker talks about supreme mathematics. That's right.
okay.
That's right. That's right,
Okay.
brother.
So
That's right.
well the
Supreme
reason
mathematics. I'm not gonna stand here for that shit. That's some
well
goofy shit, bro.
I
That's a real goofy shit right there.
okay. Can I talk now?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, now I understand that you don't, you don't do math. Okay, I understand you don't have a high understanding of math, and this is why your conclusions is very stupid to me. But I can explain it to you because one, you don't understand, and for two, you actually think you're superior than me. So it's hard to kind of explain things to you. You see what
I
I'm
do.
saying?
I do.
You see what I'm
Intellectually
saying?
wise, I
And
definitely do.
so and so
Come on, dude.
your
We're
mathematical
not, bro.
logic.
We're not even on the same
Here we go.
level.
Here
You're
we
like
go.
at you're like below kindergarten to me, bro.
Okay, so again, another commercial. Go
That's just the
ahead, man.
truth.
What you got? An album coming out,
Go
bro?
ahead.
You got
No,
some
go
shoes?
ahead, Trav.
Go ahead, do
No,
your commercial, bro.
I'm just
Do
trying
your
to let the
commercial.
audience know. I'm just trying to let the audience know. I mean, it's not that you're not on my level. It's that you're not even like close, dude. Like you're like so far away. But okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. My
Okay,
bad.
okay. So he everybody buy his album, okay, or whatever bullshit he's selling. All right, so he can stop. So here we go. So now it's obviously the brother doesn't have a clear understanding of what he's talking about,
But we ain't
and
supposed to get
so
disrespectful.
okay. So another
So
commercial. What do you got? Some clothing line?
you don't understand anything about this topic, and that's why you have to rely on conspiracy theories. Oh, you don't know if it's all the DNA. Oh, the program messed up. You cannot dispute the data itself.
Okay, well, actually, I never said the program was messed up. I never got to explain myself twice already. Now, the third time I don't get to explain myself, I'm probably just going to exit.
All
There,
right,
there was
explain
two.
what's wrong. Explain what's
I didn't
wrong
say
with the.
anything was wrong with it. Okay,
Okay.
so you are assuming because you think you're smarter than me, bro. So you are coming at an angle that you need to humble your goddamn self first. Okay,
Okay.
if we can do that, I can get some explaining done. Because it's clearly you guys are filled up with a bunch of fortune cookie facts and shit, and you guys don't understand what the fuck you're saying. Okay?
All right.
Now,
Continue.
because we can't do that, okay, we got to go off some little ass point as that don't make no sense when we trying to just get straight to the gusto and just crack open that. Now we over here fucking arguing over fun facts and shit. And I ain't got. I'm just. I mean, it's man. Go, man. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead. This shit is crazy. Go ahead. Do what you
Okay,
gotta do.
I'll read another article about the cranial morphology.
Go
Hold
ahead.
on one
they
second.
Do what you
don't they
gotta do.
don't they don't want they don't want to hear that shit, Joseph.
Well, you guys are the ones that don't want to hear it.
All right, go.
Okay. Now, I just asked him in the beginning, okay, about the explanation of Naia's DNA. Why come it's not compared to George Lopez's? You said, oh, because they got the full amount. But then you just sat there and explained the full amount process. So what do they got of Naia's when they get in
They,
this DNA? Do they have the
you want me
full
to?
DNA or do they have a percentage? What exactly do they have? Because you can't have both, bro. But you're not making the connection in what you're saying. You're just saying stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I say they got a portion of the genome, I should have clarified what I meant. Okay, they got the portion of the genome that's
Mm-hmm.
inside her mitochondria, not the nucleus, right? 'Cause-
Oh,
Not the
okay.
nucleus.
So now
Okay.
the probabilities even get lower now. Okay.
No,
You
no,
see?
not lower. It's the same probabilities because
Okay.
the
Okay.
mitochondria it's its own gets
Okay.
passed down separately when a zygote is created, right?
Okay.
You know what a zygote is, right?
No.
The
No.
embryonic
No.
stem cell.
No.
So
I do not.
when a baby is one cell, right?
Mm-hmm.
That came from a sperm cell and from an ovum, right? So you got the sperm cell and the ovum. Each
Okay.
one of them contains one pair, or not one pair, but it contains 23 chromosomes, and the other one contains 23 chromosomes. So the sperm contains 23 chromosomes, and the ovum contains 23 chromosomes. When they make a zygote, when they come together, when the sperm fertilizes the egg and they make a zygote, now they have two pairs of 23 chromosomes for a total of 46, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the DNA, that's the genome that goes into the nucleus of that embryonic stem cell, the zygote.
Okay. Okay.
But
So
the
basically,
mitochondria, hold on, let me just finish real quick. But the mitochondria, it gets transferred separately. The mitochondria gets passed down from the mother only, right, into that embryonic stem cell as a piece of mitochondria. So it's like a little bacteria inside the bigger thing. So now you have a total of two genomes in the embryonic stem cell. You have a genome in the nucleus and a complete genome in the mitochondria. They're both complete genomes in and of themselves, but they're two separate ones. So you have one in the mitochondria, one in the nucleus. Okay. Now with women, every woman, every daughter is going to be able to keep on passing that mitochondria on and on and on and on and on for every generation. So that mitochondria was what they were able to extract out of Naia, and they determined that her mitochondrial sequence matched modern Native Americans. It did not match Australians. It doesn't match Europeans. It doesn't match African Americans. It doesn't match Bangladeshi people. It doesn't match anybody else in the world besides modern Native American females.
Okay.
That's the way it
So
works.
thank you for the fun facts. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
actually, feel
But we ain't
dumber.
supposed to get disrespectful.
I actually feel dumber. Okay.
What is it? Wait for us to finish and then
Now,
start talking shit. Well,
now,
that don't mean shit, but
now, I didn't say that, but here we go. Okay, thank you for that. I actually, actually learned some stuff. I appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
But this is the problem where you're not understanding what I'm saying. It's not connecting with you, and I'm trying to do that. But I don't want to keep have to doing it and doing it. If you don't understand it and it's too way over your head, then I just move on. Okay, now you're basically saying, okay, that they have a piece, not even the full version. So they have enough DNA to determine and to match it up with modern day people, but they don't have enough to determine what other groups and what other types of DNA or the
that's not
breakdown. But hold on, of the
it's not how it
breakdown.
works. It's not
Okay,
how
okay.
DNA
Can
works
I
though.
can I can I, can I finish or the breakdown of it? So now when I asked you, okay, well, when is Native American DNA discovered? What is it? What the hell is in it? What is Native American DNA? So now when I ask you that, it's even going to get weirder. So basically what you're saying is they can take George Lopez because he's living. Okay, he's living, right? And so they can take his DNA, they can take some spit from him, right? And they can take her goddamn skull, right? And you mean to tell me they can't break it down from her skull and his spit? His spit is more powerful than her skull. Now, so I understand what you're saying, that they don't have the full thing. Okay? Now by them not having the full thing, but they're using the analysis as a full report. Okay, now that's a little odd to me, and that's really how now science really don't work like that. You can't take
Yes,
a percentage.
It does
You
work
wait,
like
wait,
that.
wait,
What are you
wait,
yes,
talking
wait,
that's
wait,
how
about?
wait, wait,
DNA
wait, wait,
works.
wait, wait. You can't take a percentage of something and then come up with another percentage of another percentage and then say, "Oh, this is hardcore evidence." Okay,
Okay,
that's that.
Yes,
Wait,
when I
wait,
said
wait,
that
wait,
they
wait,
didn't have
wait,
the full
wait,
picture
wait,
of it,
wait. Let
hold on, let
me
me say this real quick.
if
Let
I
me say
can
this real quick,
finish,
Tribe. Go ahead, go ahead,
finish,
go
if
ahead,
I can finish a sentence or finish my point.
go
See,
ahead,
I
Tribe. Go
talk
ahead,
I talk in points. So if I can't make my point, what's the
go
point?
ahead, Tribe. Go ahead.
Okay, so it seems like you guys understanding of what actually DNA is supposed to do and what DNA is not that efficient. And I'm telling you this because you guys don't understand mathematics on a higher level. Now, when different scientists conflict with different scientists, there's only one method to determine what scientist is superior. It's mathematics. Okay? You have to understand that. Okay?
Okay,
So
okay. Are
if
you done?
something
Are you
if
done?
something
Are you
conflicts
done?
if something conflicts with something else, how do you determine that something else? It goes to math. So if you're not coming in that form, bro, you're talking more probability, and you just reinforcing yourself that this shit is true when it's not. It's
Okay,
clearly it's
what
clearly
the
you don't
statistical?
it's
Okay, Tribe.
it's
Okay, we
clearly
get
you
it.
don't
Tribe, Tribe,
understand it.
Tribe,
Now
Tribe,
I
Tribe, Tribe,
understand
Tribe,
what
Tribe.
I
tribe,
understand,
tribe,
but
tribe, tribe,
hey,
tribe,
hey,
tribe,
bro, can
tribe,
you?
tribe,
He's
tribe,
scared of
tribe,
every
tribe,
single
tribe,
response.
Okay,
That's
tribe,
why he
tribe,
now,
starts going
tribe,
crazy.
tribe,
now,
tribe,
now.
tribe, tribe, tribe. What
Oh,
does
I
statistical
think I broke the
analysis,
white boy,
tribe, tribe,
y'all. I think I
tribe?
broke the white boy.
What does it say? What does
Now
it
I know
say?
what I
What does
know a
it
lot of
say?
what I'm
What does
saying.
statistical
Okay,
analysis say?
now the
What
thing
does
is that
statistical analysis say,
a
tribe?
lot
Shut the
of what
fuck
I'm
up, tribe.
saying.
Shut up, tribe. Shut up,
Okay,
tribe. Shut
now
up, tribe. Shut up, tribe.
a
Shut
lot
up,
of what I'm
tribe. Shut
saying,
the
you
fuck up, tribe.
guys,
Shut up, tribe. Shut up, tribe. Shut up,
is
tribe. Shut up,
opinion
tribe.
based.
Tribe, shut the
Okay,
fuck up. Shut
and
the fuck
so
up,
I'm
tribe.
trying to
Tribe,
get
Tribe,
to
you
the
shut
you
up, shut
made
up,
a
tribe.
actual,
point. Let
Shut up,
us
and I'm
tribe.
address the
trying to
Shut
point.
get
up,
to the
tribe.
actual
Shut up,
meat.
tribe.
But
No,
You've been
you're
for
trying
talking
to
some
for
go to
30
reason,
another
minutes,
point.
tribe.
Let
we
You've
us
been
keep
talking
address the
for
one you
30
just
minutes,
made.
okay,
tribe.
we keep
Shut the
getting
fuck
mixed
up,
up
tribe.
in
Shut the
these
fuck up,
little
tribe. Shut the fuck up, tribe. Shut the fuck up, tribe. Shut
these
the
little
fuck up.
fun
Shut the fuck
facts.
up. Yeah,
And
then
Let
shut the
so
us
fuck
and
up.
address
so
the
it
Shut
point
the
you
fuck
seems
made.
up,
like
tribe. Shut the fuck up,
they
tribe.
want to
Shut the
argue
fuck up,
these
tribe.
fun
Shut the
facts
fuck up,
and they
tribe.
don't
Shut the
want to
fuck up,
get to
tribe.
the straight
Tribe, you're slow. You're
Tribe,
to the
stupid,
you're
straight
tribe. You're
what you're
stupid.
they
doing
don't
is
want to get to the straight meat.
pontificating.
They don't want to
Tribe,
get
you're
to the
stupid.
straight bones.
Tribe, tribe,
Now,
you're stupid.
Tribe, all
now
you've
Tribe,
what
been
I'm
doing
gonna
is
do?
you're
pontificating.
stupid. Tribe, you're slow.
So
You're
what I'm gonna
slow.
do?
You're slow.
I'm
You're
probably gonna
slow,
Tribe,
tribe.
exit
you
out
have a congregation and then you start
because
going off like a preacher. You ain't saying shit. You're just
okay, but
preaching
that's what
because
I'm
you know how to
trying
get to
to.
your audience
That's
emotionally.
that's what I'm trying to
Oh,
do.
conspiracy.
I'm trying to
Oh,
speak.
science. It's such a
You don't
conspiracy.
But
understand
you
You're
guys
mathematics,
appealing.
don't
bruh.
allow
You
You're
don't
me
appealing to
understand the
the
to
emotion
supreme
of your
talk.
audience.
mathematics. You don't
Okay,
understand the supreme mathematics,
you guys
brother.
are going off emotions.
Shut the
Okay,
fuck up, tribe.
because you
It's
have
not
to
emotion.
understand. Humble
What do,
yourself,
what?
youngin.
You humble
Okay,
yourself.
You
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 are
not
not
that
emotionally feel
smart,
you
bro.
kindergarteners.
you
Okay,
emotionally feel like the
you're not
haplogroup
that
that came
smart.
back from
Be
genetic
humble like
testing.
Now,
Lotus.
I
Be
asked you
humble
a
like
simple
Lotus. Be humble
question
like Lotus. Be
and
humble
you
like
did
Lotus.
not
Be
even give
humble
me
like
a
Lotus,
simple
tribe. Be
answer.
humble
You
like
gave me
Lotus.
some weird ass
Why do you
answers.
think Lotus
And
is
so
quiet, tribe? Why do you think
now,
Lotus is quiet, tribe? Why do you think Lotus is quiet? Because he knows the truth. You're fucking stupid. You're an
let's move
idiot.
on, you guys. They're
You're a
not gonna let
kid.
me
You're a
break down the
kid,
DNA, you
bro.
guys.
You're a
So
kid to
let's
this.
move
You're a
on.
kid to
Okay, let's move
this.
on.
You are a kid to this, tribe.
Now
You are a
basically
kid.
part of your theory is that these people and
No,
Nair.
no. What does
Oh,
statistical analysis say about the odds of six slabs saying she has haplogroup D1 and one saying another thing? You talk so much about mathematics. What are the fucking probabilities there, tribe? Huh?
which
What does the
which like
okay.
you
statistics
mentioned
tell you
isn't
Do
about,
you want
even
me to
that's not
answer
tribe?
that?
even
Do you want me to
what
answer
you
that
said that's
question?
not even
Idiot.
which
Idiot.
as
He's
you
an
said isn't
idiot,
even
bro.
really conflicting
Okay.
if
Do you
you
want me to answer
understand
that question or
genetics.
no?
Talking about solid numbers when he
Do
knows damn well
you
his audience doesn't even know what the fuck solid numbers is.
do you want me
If you were to read the
to?
definition of solid numbers to your audience, tribe, they will be like, then how the fuck does that have to
Okay.
do with anything that you were talking
Do
about,
you want
tribe?
me to
Huh?
answer
What
the
do
question
solid
or no?
numbers? What do solid? If you tell your audience right now, tribe, what solid? If you read the definition of solid numbers, they will look at you like you're fucking stupid. Because what you were saying earlier about solid numbers and DNA sequences has nothing to do with each other. You're a fucking bum, dude. You're slow. You're a retard. You're slow, bro. Let it go. Ooh, god damn.
Let
Tribe,
him.
you keep preaching and appealing emotionally to your audience. That's all you've been doing
It
this
sounds
whole
like that's
time.
what he's doing. If you want
No,
to
we
be
we're
Alright,
trying to
tribe.
discuss
So
the data.
okay.
are we done
Now,
here? Are we
now
are we
can
done
I
here?
can
Can
I
we agree? Can we agree that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about?
can I
Can we
finish?
agree?
Yes or no? Can I finish talking or no?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. With no commercials. If you want to sell an album, go ahead, bro. If you want to do that, go ahead.
Okay,
So
tribe. Go ahead.
I need to be able to make my point. Because right when I get started, you guys go on a tangent, you guys go on this emotional based
Oh, we
information.
wait for you to talk for like 3 hours and then we have to
Three
cut you
hours,
off. You
bro.
ain't gonna
No,
stop.
Lotus
Wow.
can't even talk. Lotus can't even talk. He's
Wow.
been trying to
Lotus is
talk
not
for like
here
two
right
hours.
now. He's left for a second. But
Uh-huh.
can I talk? Yes or no? Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can we get some actual points and some actual information, or are we gonna talk about fun facts all day? Fortune cookie
Go
facts.
ahead.
Are we
Go
gonna
ahead. Go
actually
ahead. Go ahead.
now? So we're gonna move on for that because this obviously I can't get anything out. So now let's crack this bad boy open. This is where it get weird for you guys. Now, according to you guys' theory and this DNA method and all this little fortune cookie shit that y'all talking about, some kind of way this Negroid person, they metamorphed or they evolved, okay? They fucking no longer themselves no more. So they walking around. They was walking around looking like us then, and now they walking around looking like Asians. So now
They,
we're talking
they actually,
about. Can I finish or no?
you said
Go
something
ahead.
wrong. They didn't look like y'all. They look more close to Negritos.
Really,
Yeah,
really,
Yes,
different skull
yes,
structure.
really. Okay, so
yes.
so 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 you know how all of us look now,
You
or
don't
you
look like a
don't?
Negrito because you
No,
ain't a
no,
Negrito.
you don't.
You're
Now,
you're
now, now, you
Congoid.
were you there? Were you there? Did you see her? Huh?
No, I read the data in
Okay,
detail.
okay, okay. Now, so you're talking probability again. But here we go. Now, so basically, this is what it's going to get weird. So now it looks like a
Probability is a
Negrito, and
mathematical term,
now,
and I
oh,
thought you were about math.
so
So
you want a commercial? What you got? An album? Everybody
no, I'm
got
just
his
saying
album.
you keep talking
You
about
got a
math.
YouTube
You're
channel. You
basing
got
your shit in mathematics, and then
what?
you have a problem with probability,
I
which
can't.
is a mathematical term.
I know, but
Right.
you guys don't understand it. So
You're
I
not
can't.
making sense
But I know I'm not to you because you
to
don't understand
anybody.
the level of
You don't like the word probability, but then you say you're all about mathematics.
Okay, so
You
are
know,
we?
probability could be 100%.
Am I talking or are we in the conversation? What are we doing?
Okay, continue.
Okay, now sorry that it has to hurt you guys' feelings, and it's probably going to break your heart, and I hope you don't commit suicide, but that's on you. Now this is what I'm talking about. So now these guys are basically saying that this person was over here 12,000 years ago, and then what she did is she evolved into what they called a Native American. And so this is where it gets real weird, and this is where we finna have some fun with these guys because obviously, we can't get the mathematics out the way. They're not gonna get that. And so now, basically, so we're talking about 12,000 years ago. Naia was so called on the scene. Now, a little bit about 3,000 years ago, a group of people came up from, I think that's Mexico, and they painted themselves looking like us. They painted themselves looking like this. Their DNA matches us, and all the other things matches us. But some kind of way, she didn't some kind of way these people that popped up in Mexico did not look like Native Americans today, and that was 3,000 years ago. That was only
Right.
3,000. Okay, so you're telling me in the time span of 3,000 years ago that these dark ass black ass people, okay, went from that to what you look like in a total of 3,000 years? That what you're saying?
Wait. There's people 3,000 years ago whose DNA matches you.
Yes.
Post it. Post it.
Post that.
Okay. Okay. So
And
yeah.
your
So
audience is about to find out you be lying and just
okay.
making
So
up shit.
so basically, so go ahead.
No, 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 no,
Explain.
no, 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 no,
I'm
no.
I'm, I'm
Post it.
getting it. I'm
Post
on a
it.
computer. I'm on a computer. But basically,
Post
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead and say what you got to say. Is that what you guys saying? You guys are saying 3,000 years ago, these black ass people within this time span of 3,000 years, they lost all their
Naya,
features.
Naya and Lucia are from
Oh, okay.
12, 13,000 years ago,
Right.
not 3,000.
Right. So I know, but I said 3,000 years ago, some people popped up. Okay, because remember they have pyramids there, they have writings on the wall. These people drew themselves. The
Yeah,
people
but you're saying that you saying that there's DNA samples of these people that matches your ass.
of
That's what
course
you're.
there
That's what you're
are,
saying.
bro.
Let's see it.
Where are they? Where
If
are
you,
they?
if you got, see, this
We'll
is
take
what.
our.
Post
We're gonna
it.
be quiet.
Post
We're
it.
gonna be quiet and wait for that.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
no, you can talk. I got you. You can
No,
talk.
no, we're gonna be
You can you
quiet.
can, you can talk. I got
All
you.
right. Let me
But
read this. Let me
so
read this.
no.
Okay.
Take the question. Take the question because if you can't answer my question, then
Oh
I'm
no, no. This
you
directly
can't.
goes to your question.
Okay,
See,
let me
No,
just say. Let me
no,
just say
no,
this
no,
real
no,
quick,
no, no,
Joseph.
no, 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 no,
Hold
no,
on,
no.
hold on. Yeah, yeah. I'm
I'm
gonna address it.
saying
So for example, I'm saying every time that they pull DNA out of a pre-colonial specimen, right? Every single time they name it. So we know of Kennewick Man, we know of Aztec Child, we know of Bula Woman, we know of the Spirit Caveman from Nevada. We know of the dude from Texas. I forgot his name. We know of Naia. Right? These are all specimens with a name because DNA has been pulled out of them and they are famous. I have yet to see a 3,000-year-old specimen. Please name it and definitely post it in the back chat.
Okay,
There,
That
okay, okay, but
supposedly
don't.
has
there's
I
no
DNA
get that,
such
that
but
thing
you
as a
didn't answer the
pre-colonial
question though.
specimen.
But you
There's
didn't
no
answer.
such thing as a pre-colonial specimen that
But you didn't
matches
answer the
African
question,
Americans.
Rayo. This
Period.
what I'm saying, bro. You didn't answer the question though. I get your rant. I get your emotional suicidal
Right.
bullshit. But you didn't answer the question.
Right. I'm about to answer it now.
This what I'm saying. I thought you guys was actually like real people. I didn't know you guys was idiots, bro. Like I
Okay, we're
thought you.
idiots.
You know what I'm
All right.
saying? I just asked you a simple question, and you just another
Right,
question, and you
and we
didn't
addressed
answer
Yeah,
it.
it.
First of all, it was there. It wasn't 3,000 years ago.
Okay, okay, okay,
That population,
okay.
the actual Paleo Indian population, faded off in about 8,000 years ago. Right. um, there are populations today who are
who
what I
look
guess you
more
would
like
call like the Botokuro, who are relic populations, and there are also populations who match those statues and artwork who
Okay.
are paleo or proto-mongoloid in morphology. You could still, I'm from Central America, right? I spent all my summers there as a kid, and I've seen people who look just like the Olmec heads being bus drivers, nurses, store clerks that look just like the heads.
Mm-hmm.
Wide noses and or broad noses and full lips are not exclusive to Africans or African Americans. They are a tropical adaptation.
Okay.
So
Now.
people in tropical zones have those features.
Okay. So
Wait,
nobody.
I'm not done.
Oh,
Here you are cutting me off. I'm not done. Also, there's something called cranioplasticity.
mm-hmm.
That is how your skull structure changes based on your environment, your
Mm-hmm.
diet. One of the things that contributed to the paleo American morphology fading off
Mm-hmm.
is that people started to become sedentary and they became farmers. They weren't eating wild uh, uh, plants and wild nuts and things like that.
Hell no. Go ahead, bro. Dude, this shit is crazy. Go ahead.
Okay, that aligns with the data. Right around the same time, you start to see people adapt
Okay.
to
So
farming.
so that
You
aligns with
start
the
to see
data.
the
So
Paleo
basically,
Indian
so
morphology,
so
and this is across the board. People
okay.
became less robust in skull structure
Okay.
when they started to become
after the
sedentary and
Okay.
ice
develop
So
farming.
after the
now
ice age.
basically you're saying because of that, where you just read it, you're saying that story is 100% true because of that. That what you
No,
saying, right?
what story? We're waiting for you to post it. We don't even
Okay.
know what story you're talking about, dude.
Is that what you're saying? Because
We
you're
don't
bringing up
even know
lip.
what study you are
Can
talking about, Trav. You said you were gonna post it. You haven't posted it
okay.
since. You
And he
idiot.
ain't gonna
Suicidal.
post it because
Post it.
he ain't gonna
Sui.
post it because he made that up.
No no
Now
no.
let
He
me
makes that shit
now
up. He makes that
Can
shit
now
up.
I
wait.
talk, please? Can
Third
I
thing.
talk?
What
No.
you guys are relying on is the old Polish comparative method, which has been thrown in the
Okay.
trash by the scientific community because it has confirmation bias built into it. The
Okay.
Polish
Now,
comparative the Polish comparative method
thank you for the
fits
fun facts.
fits
We
fits any.
appreciate it. You got to talking about OMAC heads. You got to talking about lips. You got to talking
I
about
address
Yeah, but
noses.
everything you said in your
you still have
statement.
not seen the article,
You
Trav.
said
And
all
there's
those
a
things in your
lot.
statement, so I'm addressing
Okay.
them.
Okay. So
Now,
there's a
now,
lot of fun
Polish
facts that
comparative model fits all
okay.
skulls into a narrow
Okay.
classification system of either European, Asian, or African. What happens when you start to widen the reference sample population to compare these skulls to? A lot of these Paleo Indian skulls start to fit into the range of Native American skulls. Let me read this study for you.
Okay.
Our results show that
Okay.
Lagoa Santa individuals exhibit stronger morphological affinities with Indian Knoll, Tennessee, and Wendover Archaic of North America and prehistoric Jamon of Japan than with our Melanesian, our Australian samples. Right?
Okay.
The relationship shared with Lagoa Santa and Melanesians are exhibited in Simiduro 9. However,
Mm-hmm.
this skull displays similarity with the Atayal of Taiwan. And the
Okay.
probabilities of Mahalanus distances between Melanesians and Simiduro 9 and between Jamon and Simiduro 9 are very close to each other. This can be explained by all populations having individuals that overlap the distributions of virtually any other, but it
Okay.
does not necessarily signify a genetic relationship.
Okay.
RX matrix and RX matrix indicate that Lagoa Santa exhibits more similarity to the Hamon than Australia. All
What?
of the all of these suggest that the early inhabitants of South America were probably not directly related to Austro-Melanesians, but rather to late Pliocene inhabitants of Northeast Asia, such as an ancestor of the Hamon. Also, they are related to the archaic North American populations and recent Central and South American populations. For our analysis, by using a battery of cranial facial measurements, we can see linkages running all the way from Northern Europe, both to prehistoric and modern, across via Mongolia to coastal Northeast Asia, and southeastwards into the Pacific and over into the representative of at least one of the main components of the Native American peoples of the New World. It had already been shown that the Hamon inhabitants of prehistoric Japan were not only the obvious ancestors of the living Ainu, but also had to have been a major source of one of the principal components of the pre-Columbian inhabitants of the New World. This study does not support affinities between the early Brazilians and Australians and Melanesians, debunks Neves, and it's stating the studies Neves 2003, 2005, 2007, and Neves and Hub 2005. On the other hand, have failed to include prehistoric. It's talking about how they failed to widen the reference population, have failed to include a prehistoric Northeast Asian population in their data, and denied that Lagoa samples share similar craniofacial facial characteristics found in archaic North American populations. So basically what this study is saying, and I have the chart that goes with it.
You mean story?
Once you
mean story? Not study,
Chart.
story.
Story only because you can't understand it, Charles. Because you're
It
too
clearly
dumb.
just said that.
We already determined that you were too stupid for
It
this. You
just
are too
said that.
stupid for this.
Okay, it just says this story.
He just gave you a whole scientific breakdown, and you call it a story because you're
It
too
said it was a
stupid to
story.
understand
Idiot,
it.
can you read?
It literally said that it's a story. It's
It literally
hey,
said it was a story. Like, dude, I
hypothesis
can't
is
do
a
this,
story.
bro.
It's not a
People are
dissertation.
weird, bro.
It's
It
not a
clearly said he just
It's a
read it, bro.
hypothesis.
the word story is nowhere in this article. It
Okay.
says this study does not
This
support.
study, you fucking moron. You
Okay,
fucking
hold
moron.
on one
You
second.
fucking idiotic primate. You fucking idiotic primate. You stupid fucking monkey. You stupid fucking monkey. Study.
Hold
You
on.
fucking idiot. You idiot.
No,
You're
don't let him
too
leave. Don't
fucking
let him leave. Keep him
stupid.
here.
You
Keep
are
him here.
too fucking
You want us to kick him
stupid
out.
for
Keep
this
his ass
shit.
here. He finna
You're
get his
too
work.
stupid for
Keep him
this
here.
shit, dude.
Keep his ass here. We
You're
finna keep him
you're
here. They finna get this
Hold on.
work. Okay, he
You're
want us
too
to kick him out.
stupid for
He want
this.
us
And I'm
to
gonna
kick
put it
him
in the
out.
back chat. The
Hey,
word
Now,
story.
look at Lotus dick
Story
riding
is
you.
here.
Look at Lotus dick riding you. Talk about he said story, bro. He said it. He said story.
When
You
it's
fucking
nowhere
idiot.
in the
You fucking
fucking
stupid
article.
chimpanzee.
Right, damn.
okay.
Fucking idiots, bro.
Okay.
These guys are like you guys are below bacteria. You guys are below fucking archaea in intelligence.
Okay.
You're
Bro.
fucking idiots,
Can
bro.
I talk or should I leave?
I've picked, bro.
No,
I've
can I talk
picked.
or should
Hold on, Lotus.
I leave?
Hold on, Lotus.
Can I
I've
talk?
literally,
No?
I've kicked pebbles with a higher IQ than you, bro. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Than me?
That's a scientific fact. Yes,
Okay,
I've kicked
okay.
pebbles
My IQ's
with a higher IQ than you.
Now let's test this.
My
Let's
IQ's
test this
145.
out.
You
Let's test this out.
niggas are dumb, bro. You niggas are
Now,
stupid.
so what he wants?
Stupid, bro. Stupid. Fucking idiots, bro. Fucking idiots, bro.
For the audience, that is like the sixth scientific study with data measurements that he has tried to dismiss.
Okay.
And meanwhile, his only recourse is to rely on conspiracy theories. Oh, maybe the program doesn't work. Oh, maybe this doesn't work.
You don't know mathematics, bro. Supreme
This is where
mathematics.
always we could post 100,000 studies. They're gonna go straight to conspiracy theory because they have no studies to refute it. They have no studies that place their dumbasses here. Period.
Okay.
Except for some loose correlation about Negroid morphology, which isn't even talking about them. It's talking about fucking Melanesians. and
All
fucking
right,
asteroids and
relax,
Negritos.
Okay,
It's not even talking about Congoid African Americans or West Africans.
Joseph.
okay.
When I
So we
mentioned
do.
the Tongva and the Manga people in California, you said they had nothing to do with Naia in the Yucatan Peninsula. Then you read an article talking about the Bering Straits connecting Alaska. So you skip over the Tongva, the Chumash, right? And in your
Right.
article that you read,
Right.
it's talking about people from Alaska
Right.
crossing over the Bering
Right.
Straits.
This.
But you're saying
Right.
that people in California are not connected. Then
Relatively, he's telling relatively speaking. So if you're saying that they had
Okay.
some oral tradition, if you're
Okay.
saying notice, hold on,
Can
tribe, shut the fuck up, tribe. Let Lotus speak, tribe. If you're
Oh
saying that they have
wow.
some
My
oral
God.
tradition, Lotus, that they know about Naya, I am telling you, they are full of shit. He's talking about relatively speaking, all Native Americans are related to Naya. Just like
Okay.
if you were to say, to some degree, to some point, at one point, you're going to get to the fact that all humans come
Okay.
from Africa.
that's
That's
bullshit.
All right.
Simple,
Now
okay.
simple
see.
and
Now
plain.
see.
So
This
if
is the thing.
Bro.
This is the thing. Now it's my turn to talk. We
You
let
be
you
like,
guys go in with your emotional
I wouldn't
rants.
expect some Native American all the way up in fucking the Yukon or Alaska to
Okay.
know
yeah,
about
So
Naya either.
he's
But
not
they're
they're
not
done.
going to
also
know about
connected
fucking Naya.
to
Are you
migration.
stupid? Are you
So they're
stupid? You think
talking
they're
to
gonna
each
know?
other now.
You think they're gonna know? You think they're gonna have some oral tradition about Naya? Are you
Okay.
fucking
Now
slow?
see, they kind of know what's about to happen. So he's hoping
Tribe,
I'm kicking.
shut
He's
the fuck
hoping.
up. Let Lotus talk, tribe. Let
See,
Lotus
he's
talk.
hoping I
Just
leave, but he's
Lotus,
hoping I'm
Lotus
kick.
clearly wants to smoke, tribe.
Okay.
So let him talk. Let him
Okay.
talk. Let
So
Lotus talk.
so
Go ahead, Lotus. Go ahead,
are
Lotus.
you gonna
Go
let me
ahead,
talk
Lotus. Shut
or
up,
no?
tribe.
Are you gonna let me talk or no? Now,
No,
so
tribe. Let Lotus talk. Shut up, tribe. Shut up, tribe.
it's
Shut up, tribe. You're stupid. You're
whoa
slow.
whoa
You're a
whoa
dummy.
whoa. It's
Whoa. Shut the fuck up,
now
bitch.
it's
Let
clearly
Tribe,
Lotus
gonna
talk.
end
all
Let
you
that a
Lotus
gonna
talk.
do is
suicidal white boy
Let
pontificate
Lotus
doesn't
and
talk,
let
then
girls
bring
bitch.
up
talk.
another
Why you gotta be
conspiracy
Okay.
theory.
disrespectful, bro?
Let
I never
Lotus talk,
I never
bitch.
even made a
Let
point
Lotus
yet.
talk, bitch.
Okay.
Let Lotus talk.
Now, so
Bitch. Let
they
Lotus
know
talk,
what's about to
bitch.
happen to them.
Let
So
Lotus
what they're
talk. Let
hoping
Lotus
is
talk.
that they're hoping I leave or I kick them out because they know what's
Supreme
about to happen.
mathematics.
They
Supreme
know what's about
mathematics.
to
Tribe,
happen.
you are
Supreme
So
nowhere
mathematics.
near
I'm gonna
you are
keep them
nowhere
Idiot.
near
here,
Idiot.
and
intellectually
we're gonna
threatened.
let them make fools of themselves, and we're gonna
Tribe,
let them.
You're the
We're
only
just gonna
fool
let them
here.
do that,
You're,
and
you
then
you
tribe,
don't
in
you
you
are
don't
doing
even know
tribe,
so,
what joy
I'm gonna
electrophoresis
clearly
is.
tribe,
I'm gonna clearly
tribe. You
just
are
dismantle
nowhere
all of
near
their arguments.
intellectually
Now, hey,
intimidating
okay,
at
okay. Well,
all.
what's your highest form of mathematics? What's your highest form of mathematics,
This
Lord
guy, what I say?
Joseph? What's your highest
Jesus
form of
Christ.
Supreme
mathematics? Let
mathematics,
me guess.
son.
You're not going to answer it. You're going to say some weird ass fortune cookie bullshit, and then we're
Supreme
going to laugh.
mathematics. I
What is
do
your
this,
highest form?
bro.
What is the
I
highest
do
form of
this, bro.
mathematics you know,
Supreme
Joseph?
mathematics.
And that is why you are not intellectually
Okay,
threatening at
so
all.
are you going
Because
to
you don't
answer the
even know what the
question?
fuck is going
Fucking
on.
Are
goofy.
you going to
Fucking
answer the question
goofy.
or no?
Goofy, bro.
Okay,
No,
Straight
so
clown.
they're not
no.
gonna. So we're gonna let them make fools of themselves because they want me to leave and they want to get kicked out because they know what's about to
Nope.
happen. So
No,
go
tribe, you are
ahead,
nowhere near
go ahead.
intellectually threatening. You're not.
You, you,
All you're gonna do is turn into a Sunday preacher to preach to your audience who is emotional, right? And then you're gonna refer back to some conspiracy theory. That your game plan has already been exposed. We got your playbook.
you are like baboons with sticks in front of us. You ain't shit. You're slow. You're stupid. That's a fact. That's a
Okay,
scientific fact.
okay. So
It's
can the
sad
You're
but
like
stupid?
a
true.
fucking
So can the stupid guy
you're like
talk?
a fucking chimp. You're like a fucking chimpanzee in front of us.
Okay, can the stupid
You're
guy
slow.
talk? Can the
If you
can the
were
stupid
not
guy talk?
emotional, Raul, when you say it, it would hold more
Right.
weight.
If you
Why?
wasn't so
It's a
suicidal and
fact,
emotional,
Lotus.
bro.
It's the
The
fact.
emotion is
That
annoyance.
is a
We're
fact.
annoyed.
But it's not.
That is a
Right,
fact.
but it's
That is a
feminine, bro.
fact.
It's
That is
feminine.
a,
It's
it is a
suicidal
scientific
because
fact.
you're
I want to
It
say
is
upset
a
over
scientific fact.
fortune
It is a
cookie
seriously,
math.
but
scientific fact. I
Okay.
hold
guarantee.
on,
I will bet you.
get him
I will
married.
bet you.
Now,
I will bet you my life on it. I will bet you my mama's life
oh, he
that
don't
I will
commit
score.
suicide. I gotta
Yeah,
go. The white boy's finna kill
that I
himself.
will score. I
The white
guarantee
boy
you I
finna
will
kill
score.
himself.
I guarantee
Oh
you I
shit,
will
Tadata's
score.
in trouble.
I guarantee you try I will score way higher on an IQ test than you. I guarantee you that.
Okay,
I
okay, okay,
guarantee you that.
okay,
I will put that shit,
okay,
bitch. I will put that shit on your kids, bitch.
okay,
I
okay.
will
But you
score
know what
way
though?
higher than you.
But you know
Wow,
what
Way
though?
higher than you.
what's up with
Okay.
Yeah,
Coach?
nigga.
But you
Yeah,
know what though?
nigga.
But you know what though?
Nigga,
You
monkey,
don't
and
make
bitch
more money than me, and you don't
tripping,
get
bro.
more pussy than me.
Way more.
So good luck on that. All right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now let's go ahead and let's break this down.
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to
Go
bring
ahead,
it
sir.
down, and I'm trying
Yeah,
to have a
let's hear what we're
conversation.
trying to avoid.
Now
I want to hear this shit.
it seems like every time I try to make a point, we go off on some fortune cookie fact, and
No, we
we're
try to
just
address the
okay. Okay,
point
here
and
we
you
go.
keep
Here we
fucking
go.
talking.
Here we go. What you selling, bro? You got a commercial? What you selling?
No,
You got
I'm saying you say every time you try to address the point, blah blah blah. No, we try to
okay.
address the point and you keep trying
Oh,
to go to
oh,
another point. That's
okay,
what
okay. The
happens.
reason why I'm going to other points because I don't want to force you to answer my questions. You guys didn't answer any of my
What the
questions.
fuck? We're having a
So
discussion. We're supposed to answer the questions.
I know, but
I
you're
mean,
not
what the fuck you
answering them.
mean?
So can I speak now?
Continue.
Okay. Now we can actually get some intelligence in the room now. Enough of the emotional suicidal bullshit. Okay? Let's just slow it down real quick and let me make a point and then you attack my point. Don't attack my sentence in between my point. Okay? Because you're not understanding what I'm saying. I get to say something and you attack what I'm saying, not my point. The point of having a conversation is to get to the point and then say something about the point. Okay,
Yes,
this is
not to
how.
continue on to
Okay,
another point.
here we go.
No,
Okay,
no, I'm telling you,
what you
yes,
selling,
I
bro?
agree with you, but
What you
I
selling, bro? What you got?
wait,
You
wait,
got some shoes? You
we're not
got some
having a
this?
lecture. We're having a discussion, so I can respond
Okay,
to something you say. And
okay.
yes, that is the
Oh
point, but it's
my
not the point to go on to
goodness,
another point.
my
If you make a point,
goodness.
let us address the point. Don't
Okay,
go on to another point
what's your
because
name, sir?
that gives the
What's
impression to your goofy ass audience
what's your name, sir? What's your
that we
name? Your
can't
name
answer your
Joseph?
question,
Your name
and that's
Joseph?
what
Your
you're trying to
audience is the
Okay,
motherfucking
Joseph,
trying to
sir.
you're
studio.
trying wait, wait, wait. You're trying to lay out enough points so that we only address
Okay, so
one of
now
them,
you're gonna
and the
take. Now you're
wait,
gonna say what I'm
wait,
saying now, right?
and the other
See,
two don't get
see,
addressed,
this
so
is
that
kind of
later on you can be like, oh look, they couldn't deal with this, they couldn't deal with that.
okay,
So let us address each point, and then you
okay,
could go on to the next one.
okay. So
Quit
this
running
is
on and on. Take a fucking breath.
okay. So what I'm trying to do, okay, is I'm trying to have just a simple conversation. It is not that difficult. You guys are none but fortune cookie, fucking fortune cookie, scholars. None of that shit gets you paid. Okay, you guys do this shit for a hobby. I get it. The mathematics.
It's got me
Okay, here
paid.
we go again. Here we go
I work
again.
in a lab,
It's got
Another
me
bitch. I
paid,
work in a
nigga.
commercial.
lab, bitch. I
Another
work in a
fucking.
lab, bitch.
Another
I
fuck.
work in a lab,
Okay,
bitch.
you
I work
work
in a
at a
Stop
lab.
it,
You
laboratory,
man.
don't
bitch.
own
I'm
one.
Bitch.
trying to
That's the
call people out
Bitch.
problem.
of
Don't you
the
see
I
the
game,
work in a
issue?
lab. I
You
work in a
work
lab.
bro.
I
in
work
a
in a lab.
lab.
You're not about to
You
tell me I don't
don't
get paid for this shit. I work in a
own
lab.
a lab. That's the
I
difference.
I work in a
Okay?
lab with the
But
tools
you
that read
work.
DNA.
He ain't
You
been in a
work in a
I
lab.
work with DNA.
But you don't
I
own
work with
a
DNA. I work
lab.
with DNA on the
Okay?
everyday
So
basis.
so so what I'm trying to
Go ahead.
explain to you guys, if
There,
I can
bro.
make a point, every time I say this is ridiculous, bro.
You
Y'all
tried to
see
make
this?
a point and you were wrong.
Lotus is embarrassed for you,
Oh,
bro. Lotus is embarrassed for you.
relax, bro.
Lotus,
Okay.
Lotus
So
is embarrassed for you,
so
tribe.
here we go. Here we go. You work in a lab, bro.
Relax.
You don't own it.
Go
This is
eat a
what I'm
burrito or
talking about.
something.
So you're so
Yeah,
whatever
but
you
you
Use
know,
your
said we don't
credit.
get paid off of it, and that
whatever
was
you know,
incorrect. So
whatever
we
you know,
corrected
Tribe.
you.
you're not getting paid off your fun facts. Okay?
It's a
Yes,
lot.
we do.
Now
We just told you that. Yes, we do. I have. I've got a
and you
screenshot.
work
And by the
and you
way,
work
Of my
by the
off
fun
way,
those
fact.
fun
Bro, and
facts
do a
and you work for
quinceanera or something.
somebody else, bro. That's embarrassing, bro. I wouldn't even
you're
mention that shit.
embarrassing.
That's
Your
okay.
level
So now
your
we're going
level
off.
of
Now let's get back
idiocy
to the
is
information.
embarrassing,
Let's
bro.
get back to the information, you guys. Let me
Yes,
slow
quit
down.
saying we don't get
Let's
paid
get
off
back to
of
the
it when we
information.
do.
So what
Next
these
question.
guys did.
Next subject.
So what these guys did is what they did is I absorbed some of their energy and I just gave it back to them. So now
Supreme mathematics. Supreme mathematics.
okay.
Conspiracy
So
theory.
that's
Mathematics.
Mathematics, bro. You don't know the mathematics. You didn't read solid numbers, bro.
what's your highest form? I guess you don't have one. I guess we don't know. So it's clearly these guys are not on my level because they can't even allow me to speak.
Bro, at this point, all your audience left. They don't even
Okay.
give a fuck about you
Okay.
anymore,
And
dude.
so
You don't have to
see, here we
convince
go.
anybody.
Here we go again. Go ahead, man. If you guys want to just talk, if you guys want to come on our channel to talk to us, Is that what you want? You guys need some friends, so you want to commit
You're
suicide
on
in the
our
morning?
channel.
Is
Fuck you
that what
talking
you
about?
want?
You on our channel.
Okay,
The fuck?
so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get some simple stuff. This is all simple to me, but you guys
All
make
right.
it very complex, and you guys won't even answer simple questions. You
We
see?
answered all of them. You just don't understand the
No,
answers
no, no,
because
no,
you're not
no,
well
no.
versed.
Okay,
You
okay,
don't understand science,
okay.
so
So
you
I'm
don't
gonna
understand the
ask you a
words that are coming
question.
out of our mouth.
Okay, 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 okay. You know what? Maybe you have a point there. But guess what?
Yes,
But guess
yes,
what
I do.
though?
I know, it's
But
obvious.
hey,
What the
hey,
fuck?
but guess what though? There would be no scientists without computers. Okay? So it's my world that you're
Wait,
living in.
there was no
Okay?
scientists before
Okay,
computers? Are
listen
you
to what I'm
serious?
saying. It's my world that you're living in. Okay? Do you
Wait,
trust
wait,
in your phone?
there were no
Do you
scientists before
trust?
computers?
Do you trust in your phone that it won't blow up? I'm guessing you
There were no
don't.
scientists before computers, though.
Not advanced like this one.
They
Okay?
were
Not
advanced for their
advanced
time
like
period.
mines. Okay? Not advanced like mine. How about that? Now, I'm guessing that you guys trust in your phone that it won't blow up. Mathematics. I'm guessing you
No, I
guys
don't
trust.
actually.
And
I don't trust
can
shit man
I
made.
finish
Actually,
a statement, please? Okay. Now I'm guessing you guys, trust in your lawnmower won't blow up. Yep. Yep.
No, I don't
I'm
trust shit
guessing.
man made. So you can stop saying
I'm
you
guessing you
guess.
guys trust in your GPS or where you're going.
I don't
I'm
trust shit
guessing.
man made.
I'm
I
guessing you guys
I
trust
trust
in a
the
lot of
GPS
your
even less.
devices. I'm guessing you guys trust in a lot of your devices that you use that they won't harm you. You're trusting that your phone won't blow up right now. You see what I'm saying? And so, but for
No, I'm
some
not.
reason, okay. So okay. He got a phone in his hand, but he don't trust it. You see what we
I
working with?
still fuck don't.
You see what I'm saying? You see what we
You
working
ain't
with?
you ain't seen what happened with the Note 10 about 2 years
Okay,
ago,
it
or
was
Note
the
Right.
Note
7?
9, and it wasn't that mini. Okay, now here we go. It was actually the 8. Sorry, it was the 8. It was a Note
Right,
8.
and it was catching fucking
Right,
fire
and
from being
it
charged.
wasn't that many. But anyway, so these guys use all these devices, and we use all these devices every day, and we trust in them. We trust they don't blow up. And what you're actually trusting in,
We don't though.
you're trusting in the mathematics. But for some reason, when it comes to these little fun facts, and when it comes to Naia and Lucia, the mathematics just go throw out the window. They don't trust them anymore. Oh no,
Why do you
this is a
They
think the
throw out the
word
window
conspiracy
for
theory.
mathematics?
This
you.
is a
They throw out the
Why do
window
you
for
think the word
you.
why do you think the word
Wow.
mathematics
Okay.
is like your a
Okay.
trump card? Why do you
Okay.
think that?
Okay. 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 And so everything is a conspiracy. Oh, he's a conspiracy theory. If you just understand simple math, you can understand the logic. If you understand the logic, you can understand. But now let me go ahead.
I wish Lotus
Let me
could
go
explain to
ahead
us
and
what you
explain
mean,
this thing.
Tribe.
Now,
I
so
wish Lotus could
basically, what
explain
these
to us
guys are
what you
trying to
mean.
say, that this human skull, a tangible human skull, somehow metamorphed due to the environment. Now, something
It's
caused the
called cranial
environment.
plasticity.
Can I finish, bro? Like what's the deal? Do you
You're
or are you
making 10
selling?
points, Tribe. You're making 10 points. You're
What
convoluting a bunch of shit.
what do
So,
you want to
so
sell? You did too, and he did, and I didn't say anything. I'll let you guys
Yes,
read.
you did. When you made a whole bunch of points and I tried to address
Okay,
each point,
go
you said,
ahead.
"Oh, you
What do
can't
you
go
have
on
to
to that.
say?
You can't go on to that."
Go ahead, because what they're doing is they're feeding off me. They're feeding off my energy. So I'm
oh my
actually at
God. Yeah, go
you you
reevaluate your
see, every
chakras,
time I speak, their
Tribe.
emotions are affected by my voice.
Go
I am
balance
not
out your
affected
fucking
by
chakras.
theirs. When
Go
they
turn some
talk,
incense on.
I
Go
be
light some
quiet.
incense
Okay? You
and
see what I'm
meditate
saying?
on your
So
chakras.
what they're doing is they're taking my energy. They're energy sucking.
We're energy
You
vampires, you
understand?
know?
Now,
You're so
when they
draining.
talk, I can be
You,
quiet and just let them read and let them talk. But they
All right,
can't do that. They
our
can't do
finding
that
of
with me
no
though. They can't
excess
do that
allele
with me
sharing with
because my points are so strong. So they can't handle them. You see what I'm saying? One guy finna commit
oh my
suicide,
God.
and one guy ain't no telling what the other guy gonna do. Hopefully he ain't got kids.
God damn,
You see
Tribe.
what I'm
It's been
saying?
2 hours and you're
So
still talking, bro. It's been two
because you
hours.
and
guys are
ain't made one fucking
And they
point.
made
because
one
you
point.
guys are
They made a single
interrupting
point.
me. That's why. If you just shut up
Well, then
and listen.
get to your point. Quit pontificating. Fuck your congregation, your little church, your pew. Get to the point.
Emotion. You see that? Lack of discipline.
That shit is annoying. You sound like a
So,
Sunday preacher. I don't go to church either, nigga.
Okay.
You
Now,
sound just like a Sunday school preacher.
okay, now this is what these guys are wanting you to believe. It's 2000 and finna be 2020. It's finna be 2020. And these guys trying to sell us that a human skull changed due to the environment in the amount of 12 years. I mean 12,000 years, 12, 13,000 years. This is what these guys are trying to sell to us. And so what
Yep.
I'm trying to
Yep.
explain, you want to go?
That's the fact.
You want
No,
to
no,
go?
yeah, that's right. I was just agreeing with you. That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Now the problem is that they don't have any science. They don't have any really scientific method to explain what they're saying. Okay, there's a bunch
I
of
just
different
did. I showed you
oh,
3 different
hey,
articles.
hey,
Fucking
an
idiot.
article is not a method, bro.
It's a scientific study. The
It's
article
not
is the
a
study.
method.
It's
Okay.
the study explaining the methods. Do you want to
Okay.
hear it again?
Okay. Now this is what I'm saying. Okay. You
Do you want to
understand?
hear the study
Guys,
again and the
shut the
methods?
fuck
No,
up,
there.
Or
tribe.
you
Can
see
I
The
fucking lying
method,
finish?
to your
the
audience.
method,
Can I
tribe.
finish? Okay. It was.
Comparative. It's called comparative anatomy. Like for
Oh.
example, in South Africa,
Okay.
in South
Now
Africa, in
listen
South
to.
Africa, tribe,
Oh,
in South Africa, they have
bro.
croissant skulls from the Paleolithic
Can you
era,
see
before the Ice Age,
what they're doing?
right?
Can
Okay,
you see
shut the
what they're
fuck up,
doing?
tribe. In South
Every
Africa,
time I
tribe. In South
speak,
Africa,
they're
tribe. In South
absorbing
Africa,
my
tribe.
energy.
This is methodology.
And
This is
this is what
methodology,
I
tribe.
want
This
from
is
them.
methodology.
You see?
This is methodology, tribe. In
Listen to
South
him. Watch,
Africa,
watch
they
what,
have
watch what I do
croissant
to him.
skulls from
By
the
the end,
Paleolithic era,
watch what I do to
tribe.
him. I'm
They
finna
have
make him
croissant
glitch.
skulls from the
Watch this.
Paleolithic era, tribe. They have croissant skulls from the Paleolithic era, and their skull structure is way more robust than the croissant skull structure today. Okay? That's because over 10,000 years it shrunk. That's what
Okay.
happens.
Okay. Now,
We therefore, since he
okay.
wants to hear methods, we
Okay.
therefore, since you want to hear, we therefore see 17 ancient individuals affiliated with the now extinct Pericles from Mexico, Fuego Patagonians from Chile and Argentina, who on the basis of their distinctive morphologies are claimed to be relics of Paleo-Americans. Additionally, we sequence 2 pre-Columbian mummies from
Okay.
northern
What does that
Mexico.
got to do with skull? What does that got to
You
do with
wanted
skull?
to hear methods. Now,
Okay.
when I'm talking about the methods, you
Okay.
want to cut me
Go
off.
ahead.
What the
Go
fuck
ahead.
is it?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. What's the
To
skull? Not
serve
the
as
DNA. What's the skull?
to serve as morphological controls. You know what morphological means? Since they are expected to fall within the range of Native American morphological cranial variation. We
Okay.
found that the
No method.
ancient samples cluster with other Native American groups
No
and are
method.
outside the range of oceanic variation.
Still no method.
Similarly, outgroup F3 statistics reveal low shared genetic ancestry
Still
between
no
ancient
method.
samples and oceanics. So there, I could keep going
Still
with the method.
keep going because there's not a method in there.
He
Explaining how
just
these
said.
people.
He
You know
just
what
said
the fuck the method
they
is?
even had a control. You fucking retard. They even had a control. That's a scientific experiment. You fucking
Do
idiot.
y'all see the emotion?
You idiot. Shut the fuck up,
You're
dog. You're a
stupid.
bitch.
You're dumb as
You're an
fuck.
idiot. You're a fucking
You
moron,
keep
bro.
Hey,
saying
You're an
Lotus.
you keep
idiot.
saying
Fucking
stupid shit
idiot.
that lets us
Lotus,
know
you
you
see,
don't know what the fuck
Dude,
is going on.
dude,
Lotus, you see what I'm doing to them?
I hope your jeans, I hope your kids don't inherit your
Lotus,
dumbass fucking jeans, you fucking idiot.
Lotus, you see what
You're a
I'm doing
fucking
to them?
retard, bro.
You see
You're
the
a fucking
emotion?
retard. You're a dumbass. They even had a control.
Why does
Like
my
an
opinion mean
experiment.
so
They
much to you?
even had a control.
Hey,
They even had a control, you dumbass.
hey,
They even had a control.
still
They even had
no
a
method,
control, like an
okay?
experiment. Yes, they did, you fucking retard. He just read it.
That was
He
not a
just read
method,
it, you fucking
okay? That
idiot.
was a story
It's a
about the
method.
Additionally,
DNA,
we
bro.
sequenced 2 pre-Columbian mummies
Okay,
from northern Mexico
okay.
to serve as
Two.
morphological controls.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
It's a
hey,
fucking
study.
moron.
This is
That is the
explaining the
method.
methodology.
That
What
is
The,
is
the
it? Name
the,
it.
method.
Name it.
the
Just
name
name it.
of this
Name it.
section of the
Just
scientific
name it.
article is called methodology. You
Okay.
dumb fuck.
What is this called? What is it called?
Fucking
What is it
idiot.
called? What is it
hey,
called?
can
Say it
you
again.
bring D-Man?
Methodology.
No,
Methodology.
what's the methodology called? What is it called? Name it.
Hold on, D-Man.
It's
Comparative
a
anatomy.
methodology.
Comparative.
And
Okay,
it's more it's
comparative.
a more
Oh,
it's
so
more
we're
what
talking math.
it's
Oh,
morphometric
really?
it's morphometric it's
The method
morphometric
is
analysis.
math.
It's
Fucking
it's
Wow.
idiot, bro.
What a
morphometric
Fucking
analysis.
idiot.
coincidence
Idiot.
It's
that the
Fucking
method
morphometric
is
idiot.
analysis.
math.
It's a
It's more
method, you moron. Let
it's
Lotus
Okay.
talk now. Let
Name
Lotus
it.
talk,
No,
because
no,
you're a
name it.
fucking
Name it
moron.
again. What's the name of it again? What's the name
it's
of it?
morphometric analysis and genomic analysis.
Okay.
Those are the mythologies.
And that's mathematics, correct?
Yes, mathematics is part of
Okay,
science.
so that's what you guys
Yes,
do
and
not
by you saying
understand.
mathematics, tribe, that doesn't mean shit. This is
Now,
actual.
so now
This
You
is
as you
sound like
guys
you
actual.
can
sound like a
see,
This is
retard
you
every
as
sound
time
like
you
you
a
say
as you
retard.
mathematics. You think that
Supreme
helps you, and it don't.
mathematics.
You
Supreme
sound stupid to
mathematics.
motherfuckers that know what's
Notice,
going on.
notice,
okay.
notice.
So
Check your bitch.
now
Notice,
you guys
check your bitch. Notice,
understand
because he's
why
making
I
a
say
clown
this
out of
is
himself.
mathematics.
He's making an
So the
ass out of himself. Notice.
scientific method
Is this
was
your
the same method I
intellectual
am
equal,
using.
Notice? Is this
Okay.
your intellectual equal? He's a fucking moron.
Okay. Now, as
Because
you
then
can
He's
he
a
was going to
see,
fucking
try to parlay
moron.
that into. So, what's your highest level of
you don't
mathematics?
have one.
What's the
But
supreme
as you can
mathematics?
see,
Hey, can
these
we let
so-called
D-Man?
scientists, hold on. As you can see,
Yeah, notice.
these
Check your
so-called
intellectual
people,
equal, bro.
these
This your
so-called
intellectual
scientists
equal?
rely
I
on
It's
don't.
math.
fucking embarrassing, bro.
I just
This
not
shit is
got done saying
embarrassing.
how
Y'all
much we rely
embarrassing.
on mathematics. And so their scientific method that they're relying
See,
on
he did
is
exactly
just
what I
so
said he was going to do.
happens
Yeah. He's a
that it
fucking
happens to
idiot,
be
bro. He's a
mathematics.
fucking idiot. This
Now,
guy's
I'm going to
a
let them
fucking
speak
idiot.
again. They're
Shut
going
the
to get
fuck up, tribe.
quiet.
Let
And
Lotus
when I
speak. Let
start
Lotus
talking,
speak.
they're going to
Let
start
Lotus speak,
talking.
tribe.
You see what
Let
I'm
Lotus
saying?
speak, tribe. Shut the fuck
I
up, tribe. Let
dog walk.
Lotus
Dude
speak.
said Ty Data dog walk these dudes.
Let
Now
Lotus
you
speak,
see how they
tribe.
did all that shit and went back to mathematics. I'm a cold dude.
Let
I don't
Lotus
belong on
speak,
the internet.
tribe. You're a
But go
fucking
ahead,
idiot.
do what you gotta
It
Fucking
do.
doesn't matter because
embarrassing, dude.
obviously your dumb ass don't understand the mathematics because you can't understand these scientific articles. So
Hey,
you
Right.
can be more proficient in these mathematics than us because
no,
your
no, no,
stupid ass don't know what's going on.
no. Yeah, he does. Hey, look,
No,
this
the
is
fuck he don't. He don't
No,
know
he
shit
doesn't,
what's going
Lotus.
on.
Yeah,
does.
yeah, that's why you don't say shit, Lotus, because you know he's dumb as fuck and you can't back up his shit. That's
No,
why you don't say shit. Humble yourself. That's why you stay in your place. That's why you stay in your place, because you know he's full of shit. He's a
nah.
fucking idiot, bro.
That's
He's an
not
idiot.
why.
He's an
He don't know
idiot.
what's going on.
You
Yo,
don't know
Nah,
what the
no,
fuck
no,
is
no.
going on.
you guys don't
You,
even know y'all was reading math the whole time. Y'all some fucking idiots.
Who don't know that? Who don't know
You
science is
don't.
math?
oh
I've been
my
Who don't
talking
know
math
that
the
god.
whole
math is
time,
included
and
in
your
science?
method is
Who
math.
don't know when you measure something, you're gonna
Wow.
get a fucking number? You're an idiot.
Wow, this is crazy, you guys. But go ahead, do your rant again. Let the white boy do his rant so he don't
No,
commit
let
suicide.
Lotus speak, bitch. Let Lotus speak.
I want to hear from Lotus.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
Lotus.
sure you do. I'm pretty sure you do.
I
Go
want to see
ahead,
how you
Lotus.
defend this shit, Lotus.
Go
I want to
ahead,
see how
Lotus.
you defend this
Throw out
shit.
some fun facts for him so they can have something to go off of. Because
Okay.
obviously they can't.
He trying to low key call you stupid now too.
No,
Just
no,
because he
no.
a
We just saying
dumbass.
giving you guys some weirdo shit so you guys can go all off on it.
I'm sure you do. I'm
So,
sure you do. Like he more
so,
proficient in this topic than you, Lotus.
says,
When he's the only dumb nigga in this conversation.
Since Lotus knows so much about what Travis is talking about, please explain to us what the supreme mathematics are, Lotus, that Travis is talking about.
Oh, so you don't know.
They don't
What?
know. I know they don't.
Okay,
Oh, okay, Lotus. Go ahead, Lotus.
The
Go ahead, Lotus.
supreme
Say it.
Oh,
mathematics.
yes,
The,
explain to us because
all
we're
right.
confused as shit.
Supreme,
Explain to us what supreme
the supreme,
mathematics has to do with this shit.
the supreme mathematics to Naia, according to y'all data, is 4883 5178A 16362 and D4 16189.
all math.
Where, oh
that
man,
means
where in the
Wait,
article is that at?
what?
Where in the article is that
Where?
at?
Huh? Where'd you say that at? Huh?
That's
Now,
defining
humble yourself, white boy.
that is
Don't kill yourself this
defining
morning. Don't
mutations
go to
of
traditional.
haplogroup D,
Uh-huh.
mitochondrial DNA, possible place of origin East Asia, ancestor M.
Okay. Okay. How
Defining
the fuck?
mutations.
Now, please explain, Lotus. How in the fuck do you call that supreme mathematics, you moron? No scientist talks that way. You're a fucking idiot. No
No,
scientist does that shit.
no,
Who the
because
fuck? What scientist says supreme mathematics? That's some hood shit from your little corner street fucking scholars.
hey,
That's what the fuck that shit is from. That
look,
shit is some 5%er loser shit. That's some loser shit from NOI flunkies. That's
that's
what the
not
fuck that shit is.
Okay,
five
now
percent.
thank you for the
Talking
commercial.
about, talking about supreme mathematics. Y'all sound like
Bro,
some fucking
bro,
weirdos, bro.
bro,
Y'all
you
niggas
are
sound like some fucking weirdos.
Well,
Fucking weirdos, bro.
When he could have just said
if you actually
what the
knew what
DNA
we were
sequence
talking
is or
about,
what the
you would
haplogroup is.
understand that's what
It would
you're
be
No
talking about
proper
too.
scientist,
terminology.
Because you don't understand what you're
no
talking about.
scientist calls that shit. No
You don't
scientist calls that shit
understand
supreme
what we're.
mathematics. What fucking scientist calls that shit supreme mathematics? That shit sounds goofy as
I
hell.
don't even know
And the
the
That's
only
goofy as
and the
hell.
only
but
reason
if you understand what
Lotus
you're
knows what the
talking
fuck you're talking
about,
about because y'all have discussed this before, or he would know what the fuck
Right.
supreme
no,
mathematics has to do
no.
with this
But
shit.
anyway, if you would understand that you're talking about mathematics, you would
That's what
understand what
y'all
I'm
talking
saying.
about.
That's what
But I
you
didn't,
guys
like
are
I
talking
said,
about.
that's what
But
y'all
you guys
talking
are
about.
idiots and you don't know it because you're covered in etymology and all this apology and all this other shit. Your guys are talking
No,
math, bro.
no,
Okay,
okay, let me
wait,
say
wait,
That's
okay,
something.
what
wait,
you
wait, wait.
guys are talking.
Lotus,
That whole
Lotus,
article was
Data
about
Lotus,
doing
is saying,
math,
Lotus,
can
man.
you
Lotus,
show and
You
prove
guys are
how
Lotus,
you get
idiots, man.
those
We
numbers?
can't do this,
Lotus,
bro.
How you get
Lotus,
those numbers?
Lotus.
You you guys.
Lotus? How do those supreme mathematics uh say
Oh my god.
Naia is related, or you are the descendant of Naia?
That's what I'm
How
Right.
trying.
do
That's
Let's
what
just
I
say,
was trying to
how do
say to
those
you,
in
man.
other words,
how do those
That's what
supreme
I
wait,
was
wait, wait,
trying to say
how do
to
those
you.
no I want to hear from Lotus. How do those supreme mathematics
Why I said
connect?
quiet, because I could bury the shit out of y'all.
All right, let me hear
go
it.
ahead,
How do
finish.
those
Go
supreme
ahead, finish.
mathematics
I just read
connect you to
the
Naia?
numbers, y'all. I just read the numbers,
Go
y'all.
ahead, finish.
You stated that Naya has some D mutation.
Lotus, what happened? Did we laugh? Oh, they probably kicked me out because they don't. Yeah, Lotus. What happened? Yeah, they probably kicked us out. But the whole point is that they don't really understand all these guys that talk all this scientific bullshit and all this anthropology and commodity. All they're doing is talking math. And they don't really realize that they're talking math until they meet somebody who's really knows what math is. And when I try to explain to them in a mathematical format, they don't understand it. Everything they have to offer, it has some type of story behind it. But when math, it cuts out the story and it gets straight to the gusto. And this is what I'm trying to do to these people, and this is what I'm trying to teach them. But they're so doused, you know what I'm saying? They're so doused in all this other shit and this other shit that I can't even make a sentence. So it got real disrespectful. And what I did is I let him go on a disrespectful rant because I wanna hold him here because I want them to eat this math. Because you got a lot of all these guys, they never want to swallow the information. They do you see how the white boys, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb. He has a rejection of the information. He don't want to reject it. He don't want to accept it, and he's having a hard time. Now, I'm able to listen to all their points, and I'm able to understand all their points with just simple stuff. You see what I'm saying? Just very simple. But for some reason, when I get to speak, and I'm talking the same language that they're talking, but they don't understand the raw form that I'm speaking it in. So some of the things I was saying actually help their argument, but they don't even understand it because they don't understand the math. They don't understand. You see what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, bro. It's crazy. And now the white boy was hoping I kick him out. That's why he got disrespectful because he know that there's no goddamn way that these people morphed into some modern day Asians and shit. He know this. So that's why I got kind of disrespectful because he was hoping that I leave. And normally I would leave, but it just so happened the kids out asleep. You know what I'm saying? I still got shit to do. So I just decided to go ahead and exercise the shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get disrespectful, even though, me, I like to clown around and this and that. But I try to keep it, above the belt, and try to keep some humor in it. You see what I'm saying? And so, but for some reason, these guys don't understand what they're saying. That guy just sat there and read that whole damn article. And I said, "What's the scientific method?" And he literally said some mathematics, bro. And it just went circled all the way around into what I was saying. But I could never make an actual point because what they would try to do is they would try to guess my points based on other people they argued and other people's channels and other people's they encountered. So when I say a key word or when I say something that somebody they heard before, they automatically say, "Oh, he's going to conspiracy theory and blah 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 and this and that." It's like, bro, slow down. I actually didn't go there. I was actually finna show you how the software works. You know what I'm saying? The software is developed. I'm finna show you, if you work in the lab, I'm finna show you about your own laboratory products, your own laboratory tools. They don't know about these tools. They don't know about how the tools works. You see what I'm saying? So when you studying biology, okay, when you're studying this and when you're studying that, you don't even know how the computer works. You don't know what the hell that computer doing. All you know is what this is. And so I'm trying to explain to them, but instead they have this, they come in at this angle of their superior. And so that's why it's kind of, hard to conversate with them, because they need to humble themselves just like me. I'm able to humble myself. And the reason why I talk in math is because if I'm wrong, I can easily be corrected. And because it's no, those numbers are wrong. And then so somebody can correct me. And then I can take the correct numbers and I can probably go farther. So now we're actually complement each other and we're actually helping each other. So I can go farther with my mathematics and then come back to you and say, well, what you taught me, that was actually wrong too, because I found this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? But they know that these people didn't metamorph into no modern day Native Americans. They know this. And I'm pretty sure they understand this. So this is why they didn't want to have that conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because as soon as we got into the metamorphosing part, it got real disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? They got real disrespectful. And so, I know a lot of weirdos is attracted to this drama. I noticed a lot of weirdos came out to play today. I know a lot of weirdos, you know what I'm saying? They're not normally in our chat when we're talking about building. They're not in our chat when we're talking about doing for self. They're not in our chat when we're talking about, trying to better ourselves. A majority of these weirdos you see in the chat with the little names and shit, they're never there. They only shows up. So this was also a play on them. So all you extra weirdos that came out to play today, got you. So you lose again. So we know all the weirdos, they gonna come out and play when it's some drama. They gonna come out and play, but they're never around with some actual real work. We just sat here for the last 2 weeks. We done sat here and came out with all types of stuff. We done came with all types of plans. I done showed you, I done told you about working with other nations. We done showed you working with African nations. We done told you with building. We done showed you with building within America. We just sat here and broke down all this shit right in front of their face, and half of these weirdos, they did not show up. But guess what? Today, I literally called them out just to tell them about themselves. Y'all some goddamn idiots, bro. And y'all know who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the crew. Y'all know the crew. Y'all know who y'all is. But y'all know who the weirdos is that came out and showed up today. Okay, y'all should be beside y'all goddamn self, because y'all see we out here trying to get this shit done. Whether we Native Americans and all this other shit, that's, what I'm saying, that ain't got nothing to do with us building and actually, doing something for the next generation. And this is why we here. This is what these channels is trying to pull out. But instead, these weirdo drug addicts and gangbangers and weirdos come on, they come and go when some fuckery and some stupid shit came on. That's why I let the shit play out. I let the shit play out just to exercise these weird ass motherfuckers, because they ain't gonna show up when it's time to build. But it's already too late for the weirdos, because we on some other shit. But what they did is they actually kicked me out the chat. So they wanted to talk to Lotus, and they basically kicked me out the chat, because they didn't want to break down this metamorphosis. And so I made them look real stupid, because we went all around the block with this tit for tat shit and these little fun facts, when all I'm trying to do is stick to the point. And then we went all the way around and all the way around, and we went right back to mathematics. What a day. What a day. This shit is this shit is crazy. But we see the weirdos are up, and we see the weirdos are up, and they came out to play today. And unfortunately, what I'm saying, you guys don't want to be a part of building. Okay, we have a lots of different types of things going on. Even if you don't agree, you don't need to agree. We're not a cult here. You don't need to wear our colors. You don't need to worship our God or bow down to our feet to build. Okay? All you need to do is show up and state your weapons. Each one of us is a weapon. Okay? And in order for us to get together, we got to know who we talking to and what weapons you bring to the table. I bring mathematics to the table. Okay? Somebody else bring financial benefits to the table. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Konsu. We got brothers like Black Lotus. We got brothers like, Libra Sun. We got brothers like Chief Holiday. You know what I'm saying? We even got some sisters back here. The sisters are actually the ones that's doing a lot of work back here. Well, I just don't mention their names because I don't want to say one without the other one. And if I forget one, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go there. But the sisters are actually back here working and they know who they are. So congratulations to you, sisters. We definitely appreciate you. And everybody know, how that goes. But they're actually out here doing some working. And so to you weirdos, you know what I'm saying? Let's can we at least cut out some of the weirdo shit? And can we actually get some building together? You know what I'm saying? Can we really get some building? Or you guys are only gonna come out to play when we got some weirdo shit going on. Okay. Now I already knew that the Caucasian brother wasn't gonna let me talk in the beginning. I already knew that. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to play out. I wanted the little drama, and I wanted to show people how our information affects them. Okay, how our information affects them. You see how emotional charged they was off of me. They was feeding off me because when I started talking, they took more what I was saying and they used it with pure emotion. But when they was talking, me and Black Lotus was totally quiet, so we wasn't going off what they were saying. We was just like pushing that shit to the side, and we was putting our shit on the table. You see what I'm saying? And so I wanted all the weirdos also to see how our emotions, how our information affect them. It really bothers them. You see what I'm saying? Even when I clearly stated in the beginning, this is all math. I clearly stated this is all mathematics. And we went all the way around the world with your mama, your daddy, your sons, your brothers, and all the way around the world back to mathematics. And they kicked me out. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? We back here, we trying. I'm not sure how more of this shit I have left in me. But you know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody, you know what I'm saying, that's doing the work back there. I am you, helping out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the sisters are back there. We definitely appreciate you, all the regional leaders, Chief, Warrior Media, all of the different regionals, participants and stuff. But we out here, y'all. We not, you know what I'm saying? This was just a little fun thing that we do. And this shit is actually limited and everybody knows this. But yeah, they kicked me out. And I don't know what's up with Lotus. I'm gonna see if I can get Lotus back. Because they probably either blocked me or kicked me out. I'm not sure. But I wasn't really, when before the chat, you can I'm gonna show you guys the message I sent him, and I told him I didn't want any disrespect, and he clearly agreed that there was not going to be disrespectful. And when I came in the room, I literally talked to him. I'm gonna show you guys our agreement, and so they got really disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And they got really disrespectful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you our agreement, and I'm gonna show you what was actually said before the actual live stream. And I told, because there's another one that's very disrespectful, and I said, my man, don't, what I'm saying, we don't want no disrespect or anything like that. But so once the information got thick, it came nothing but disrespect. You see what I'm saying? So they rely on the same tactics. Now the reason, and now a lot of these guys are very keen in what the Aboriginals do. They're very keen in the next Dane Calloway video in his life. They're very keen in what Cheap Holiday said and what A1 said. They're very keen in a lot of our culture because they study us. Okay, they study all of our culture. So they views we can actually learn from them and actually learn why they tick and why they suicidal and why they act the way they act. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, but and I mean no disrespect back for that. But the only way to do that is to have some civilized dialogues. But if we can't have any civilized dialogues with them, then it's just either or and things like that. But maybe, here we go. So it says, let me see. So yeah, I said, I literally said, we are we still going? Did they cut the stream? Let me see. It looks like the stream's off. Press one if you can hear me, because press one if you can hear me. Are we live? Are we live? Press one if you can hear me. Press one if you can hear me. Yeah, it's not about your personality. It's about the work you put in. I can have a retarded dude and say, "Hey man, go give me a glass of water," and he go give me a glass of water. He put in that work. Now I'm not saying this as if I'm a king. I'm just using it for example. So it's a lot of personalities worshiping going on. We don't care about your personality. We want to know what you can contribute. We don't give a fuck if you're retarded, stuttering, crippled in a wheelchair. If we can ask you to do something and you can do it while we're working and you can work and put in your work, then hell, what I don't give a care about your personality. As long as you ain't no pedophile or no devil worshiper or no shit like that, then I really don't give two shits. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got some weird shit going on. But I'll show you guys the chat. Because I clearly told him I didn't want no disrespect, because we got a lot going on, and the last thing we need is a bunch of disrespectful stuff going on. We've been doing great by sticking away from the BS. We've been doing great, but we called out the weirdos, and believe it or not, all the weirdos showed up in the chat. They never around when we're talking for real though. Y'all notice that, Tribeup? Y'all notice the weirdos never around when we getting into that data, is they? They never around when we going through analytics. They never around. This is ridiculous. But here we go. Here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to blow this up so you guys can see the agreement. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. They kicked me out, and I'm not gonna. I'm like, wow, like this shit is crazy. They kicked me out. So here we go. Let's get into it. I'm getting a little hoarse. So here we go. This the agreement. Okay, it says, um, basically it says we can, if you going to be disrespectful, you know, next one on my hangout, I would add Lotus. So I was telling him that he can host because he said he wanted to host. Well, he said he wanted on his channel, and I said cool. Then I asked him to host. You see what I'm saying? So it said, let me know when you're ready. It says, okay, your platform, I'm a host. And it says, that's what I mean. Then I was letting them know there's no disrespect. Now, before I entered the room, him and Black Lotus was going in on Black Lotus's channel. They was going in for almost an hour before I got in. So when I got in, they was already live. And you can clearly, when I went on live, I told them, I said, look, man, we can't deal with no disrespect or anything like that. And they was like, well, I'm not going to get disrespectful. I'm like, yeah, we going to have some fun, though. You know what I'm saying? Throw some little shots and, blah, 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 blah. I told them about, that's okay. But they went off the chain with the information. And they don't realize that everything that they're talking about is mathematics. And the day they realize that they're talking math, they can probably humble themselves. Okay? The mathematics that they're talking about is dressed up in different types of labels and different types of names and different types of methods. And you could clearly see, if you rewind it, you can clearly ask it, what's the method? What's the method? And they went right back to math. And they didn't even realize that they were speaking math the whole time. This shit's mind blowing, y'all. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. Man, some of y'all people should be ashamed of yourself, man, because we do a lot. We put a lot of work in over here. You know what I'm saying? From the Lakeisha app, we got all types of websites. You know what I'm saying? We're now in Google. We're now in Amazon. We in Alexa. So now you can ask your phone up. You can ask Amazon about us now. So now we're going into Alexa now. You know what I'm saying? Like we going around and we're getting things popping. You know what I'm saying? You know, We got these different regions. We got our different regions, and it. Let me see. Let me see. What is that? Family dollar. So we got these different regions, and we're finna be pumping out. You know what I'm saying? We finna be pumping out different, different types of products. Here I'll give you some of these products we finna start pumping out. As you can see, if you can just go to your neighborhood dollar store and you can see some of the things that they have. We finna start pumping out all these different things and have our own chain. Have our own chains of dollar stores and have our own chains. This is one of the things that we're working on, and each region is cardboard fit out for some of these products. And so this is how we're working the region. So we have to get structure. So different types of, and especially the dumb Americans, of course, it's Christmas. That's why I'm super busy, because all us Americans, we finna go out and buy a bunch of stupid ass shit that ain't gonna make it to January. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm super busy, and all them little products, you know what I'm saying? Yes, it's dealing with the matrix, but we can deal with it on a certain level. You know what I'm saying? We can deal with it on a certain level. But as you can see, there's different levels of products. Many of you guys, many of you guys know a lot about a lot of these different products, and can do of services to some of these products. Not to mention there's food and there's other things involved. But if you can just go to familydollar.com or something like that, you can understand what the Aboriginal community is behind the scenes setting up. We setting up these right here all across our regions. So with that being said, like I say, some of y'all weirdos should be ashamed of yourselves, and y'all came out to play by the dozens. All tied data, you an asshole, you a bitch, you a this, you a that. Where were you at when I was talking to the Africans, bro? Where were you at when we was having conversations with Koreans, and we was building all this stuff, and where were the weirdos at then? There's a flaw in your community, but you know what I'm saying? We out here, y'all, and we got to get this work. We got to get a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Um, Lakeisha Network. Shout out to Florida. Florida is the month top. Downloaders of the Lakeisha app this month. Florida is stepping up, and also I think that's Houston. Is that Houston or Dallas? Somewhere in Dallas, you know what I'm saying, it's picking up. I think it's Houston or Dallas. I'm not sure, but it's one of the ones in the middle. It's picking up a lot there. So shout out to them, and shout out to everywhere else too. We definitely appreciate it. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Tribeup.